The Oklahoma Sooners had great success in 2008. A third straight Big 12 title, and Heisman winner Sam Bradford kept the Sooners in the hunt throughout the entire season. Last week, the season started with great hopes for 09 as OU faced BYU. But Bradford went down with a shoulder injury, and BYU came through with the victory. How will the OU season shake out? Hang on to your hats. We start finding out next as the Sooners host Idaho State.
It's time for a college football Saturday night under the lights in Norman, Oklahoma. A rainy night in Norman, Oklahoma as the Sooners play their home opener. It's the Oklahoma Sooners against the Idaho State Bengals. And we welcome you to a college football Saturday night. Bill Jones along with Dean Blevins. What a tough week it has been in the Sooner State. Losing to BYU in the season opener, but also losing their Heisman Trophy winner, Sam Bradford.
Well, you go into that game thinking neither of those things will happen, and I don't know which is worse, but it was both. And we've all seen this play a lot. Bradford goes down. How much longer will he be out? The good news is that it looks like he will be returning, but that shoulder, Bill, is not good.
And Landry Jones, a redshirt freshman, takes over the helm of the Sooners offense.
Well, great throw right there. So you see the potential. The Sooner coaching staff very pleased with the leadership he's shown as a youngster. Not too pleased with that third and one there, but those things happen. You've got to get those worked out pretty quickly, though, if you're the man.
Of course, that's not the only problem for the Sooners replacing their quarterback, but also their All-America tight end, Jermaine Gresham.
Well, Jermaine Gresham was the best in the country. He's a first-round draft pick. He is the favorite target of the quarterback, and of course, Sam Bradford had him all last year. 6'7", 265, can really run. Pros love him, but he is really sorely missed, and offensive coordinator Kevin Wilson's going to have to be a little creative in figuring out how to work the offense not having him.
So many questions for this Oklahoma team. They look for some answers coming up. Oklahoma fans have their game faces on, trying to keep a stiff upper lip in support of Landry Jones. The kickoff when we come back.
It's the 14th ranked Sooners of Oklahoma against Idaho State. Bill Jones along with Dean Blevins. And let's go down to the sidelines and Alyssa Walker-Campbell.
Thanks a lot, Bill. You guys have been talking a lot about the injuries on the offensive side of the ball for this Oklahoma team and how it has impacted its playmakers. But what about defensively? We've got to zero in and focus in on number 4, Ryan Reynolds, the middle linebacker for Oklahoma. What an incredible story of comeback after enduring 3 major knee surgeries in the offseason, and he's worked his way back into the starting lineup and has been a significant contributor with 10 tackles against BYU last week. What's amazing is in the offseason, he did things a little bit differently. Number 1, he kept his weight down, his conditioning up so that he would be quick and nimble on his feet. The other thing, guys, is that he says he's not superstitious, but he went ahead and said, you know what, I'm not going to wear number 8 anymore. I'm going to wear jersey number 4 like my high school playing days in Las Vegas, Nevada. Bill?
Thank you, Alyssa. We'll be checking in with Alyssa on the sideline as the night progresses here. Matthew Moreland has the ball teed up as Oklahoma will start on defense, kicking off to Idaho State. Now, J.D. Ponciano, the return man for the Bengals of Idaho State from Pocatello, Idaho. He's a pretty good return man. Idaho State coming off a very difficult first week of the season, playing in Tempe, Arizona against Arizona State, losing 50-3.
Keep an eye at the top of your screen. Number 19, Andre Hurst, had a great game covering kicks against BYU.
A true freshman from Lancaster, Texas. Ponciano gets out past the 25 and brought down at the 27-yard line, and that's where Idaho State will start on offense. Matt Clapp in there on the stop on the kick coverage unit for Oklahoma. Yes, it is a rainy evening here in Norman. Offensively, the offensive line going to be really tested. Idaho State against Gerald McCoy in this Sooners defense. The skill position guys at quarterback is Kyle Blum in place of Russell Hill tonight. And As Russell Hill was injured this week in practice, basically a late scratch for Idaho State. And not much running room, trying the right side right there against this Sooner defense. And there is number 8, Kyle Blum, the junior from Moore Park, California.
Well, he started some, 4th career start, and actually played a great deal last weekend in their poor performance out against Arizona State. So it's not as though with Hill out, they bring a complete rookie in. In fact, he's a complete veteran compared to Oklahoma's situation.
Of course, Landry Jones making his first start. 2nd down and 9 for Idaho State here. We'll set that OU defense in a moment. And Blum looking to throw and throws over the head of the intended target on the right side. Will bring up a 3rd and long for the Bengals of Idaho State. Defensively for the Sooners with Beal, McCoy, Taylor, and English up front. What a game Gerald McCoy had last week, the first-team All-American. The linebacking trio of Clayton, Ryan Reynolds, who Alyssa talked about, and Travis Lewis. And in the secondary, Jackson and Franks on the corners. Proctor and Carter are the safeties. And Idaho State pressed early here. Now, Idaho State only had 37 total yards last week against Arizona State. And with that man, number 93, Gerald McCoy, supplying the pressure for Oklahoma, it's going to be a tough go tonight, probably. And not much there for Kyle Blum. A pick up a 1 yard. And it's a 3 and out as expected.
So Oklahoma has occasionally taken the football. I would say the majority of the time when it's their choice, they receive. But on this occasion, they elect to defend, and it's paying off on the first series.
And Bob Stoops will send Ryan Broyles deep to return the punt for Oklahoma. One of the best players on this Idaho State is that man, John Vanderwielen, the punter. Averaged 45 yards a punt last week against Arizona State. Trying to avoid a return from Broyles here, and he does just that.
Well, they turned the field around pretty well. That was a rugby-style kick, but he is good, an all-conference performer, and as you say, probably one of their 2 most valuable players.
So the Sooners and Landry Jones will take over at their own 30-yard line after the 3 and out by Idaho State. And we'll see how Landry Jones does in his first collegiate start when we return to rainy Norman in a moment. Norman, Oklahoma, the site for Oklahoma football against Idaho State tonight. And, of course, Sam Bradford is out at least this week and next week, 2 to 4 weeks, with that sprained AC joint. And the burden falls on the shoulders of the redshirt freshman, number 12, Landry Jones from Artesia, New Mexico, as the Sooners trot out on the field on offense for the first time, starting at their own 30-yard line. Chris Brown, the setback behind Jones here. And throwing on first down. Ryan Broyles, lots of running room. Into Idaho State's end of the field, inside the 40-yard line.
Well, no better way to start unless you can get all the way in the end zone. And I know what they're wanting to do with Landry Jones is you want to get confidence from the very beginning. And he throws a strike as Ryan Broyles is on the move.
All the way down to the 36-yard line. That's going to be interesting tonight, of course, with Sam Bradford, as there's a whistle for the snap here. It's going to be interesting tonight to see the pace of the Oklahoma offense, what with Bradford on the sidelines, and there's an early timeout. Nice pickup on the first play for Landry Jones and the Sooners offense. We'll see what else is in store when we come back. On a rainy night in Norman, Oklahoma, Sooner fans are fired up for the home opener, the 115th year of Oklahoma football, as the Sooners, quarterbacked by Landry Jones, take on the Idaho State Bengals. We're happy you could join us tonight. 34 yards on the first play from scrimmage on the pass play from Landry Jones to Ryan Broyles will set the Oklahoma offense, and there are changes aplenty on offense from a week ago in the 14-13 loss to BYU. 3 receivers to the left here on first down. And Chris Brown up the middle for about 3 to the 33. There is a flag down. Looked like encroachment against Idaho State. We'll get the mic fixed there as the Oklahoma Sooners sure like the fact that on their first offensive possession this week, the penalty goes against the other team, the defense, instead of the offense. Of course, 3 false starts on the first possession at Cowboys Stadium in Arlington last week. On 1st and 5, drop ball at the 20-yard line. We saw too many drop balls from the Sooners a week ago. And offensively up front, it's Trent Williams, as usual, at left tackle. Now, Stephen Good gets the start for the first time at left guard. Hayburn is at center. Tyler Evans, a true freshman, starts at right guard. And Jarvis Jones moves out to right tackle.
So you have 4 changes there. You mentioned Jones moving out, and here are other changes. Adron Tennell did not get the start. Kenny, who dropped that ball, did.
And Chris Brown up the middle to the 27, set up a 3rd and 1.
So if you count the Jarvis Jones move, you have 6 changes in the starting lineup for Oklahoma.
Numbers for Jones a week ago. He was 6 of 12 passing for those 51 yards. 3rd and short for Oklahoma, with Brown the lone setback. And under center to give his to Brown with running room for the first down and then some. He got 8 down to the 19-yard line.
Chris Brown is a very underrated player. He came back this year slimmer. I talked to him about his weight and looked like he had dropped a lot, and he said nope, didn't drop any, just a little sleeker. His body fat is down. He ran faster than he's ever run, under 4.5, so look for a big year from 29.
First down at the 19. Caleb is wide left. Broyles in the slot to the left. Penny to the right. And the pass is deflected up and goes incomplete.
That's a ball you have to get out of your hands very quickly or come back to the other side.
Defensively for Idaho State, they actually put a very decent first half together against Arizona State, led up front by Demetrius Amos, the defensive tackle. A.J. Storms is the player on their defense. He's a true sophomore, plays the weak side linebacker. He's number 30. He was a second-team all-conference safety last year for Idaho State. That moved to weak side linebacker this year. Had a couple of tackles for loss a week ago. Now Jones fires out to the left side. Broyles with some running room, makes a man miss, is down near the pylon, and he's out of bounds at the 2.
Ryan Broyles has to develop into that type of player because they lose Joaquin Iglesias and also Manny Johnson, and so he's got to make plays. Nice job blocking by Caleb on the outside. Ryan Broyles almost sticks it in, but this guy is a very, very talented player. Usually your slot guy is not the one you have as a go-to guy, Bill, but since he has some experience and that he's an exceptional player, he might become their go-to guy.
About the only receiver with some experience, some real experience for the Sooners. Ryan Broyles will fade to the corner of the end zone. Caleb can't come up with it. It goes incomplete.
It's a good throw by Landry Jones. Only man who's going to catch that was Caleb. Might have been a ball that a season ago you catch. We'll see if it was inbounds or if you had caught it, if he would have been out of bounds. I think he would have been out of bounds, but that throw is fine.
There's flags as Brown gets the call up the middle and did not find the end zone.
You know, last week there were a couple of penalties turned down that were penalties due the offensive line. They had 9 penalties up there, 12 overall on offense alone.
Legal substitution on a defense. 12 men did not get off the field in time. Half distance to go. Repeat, first down.
I think that used to be called too many men on the field. Now it's illegal substitution.
Bill, you noticed a moment ago they could have rammed it in pretty easily, but they decided to go ahead and throw the fade route. I think they're looking to get anything they can positive for Landry Jones.
And not much positive up the middle that time as the Idaho State defense stingy as Chris Brown goes nowhere.
Well, and this is what you can't afford to not do any better than this, because I know they get a safety up in there that's unblocked, and so you got a little bit of excuse there, but you have an offensive line, highly recruited, big, strong guys. You've got to be able to push a team like Idaho State back.
That was 27. Dustin 2 made the first hit on the last play, and once again trying to go right up the gut and can't get to the end zone.
See the push or lack thereof up front. And backside Rattery, the tight end, doesn't quite get his man, and safeties get involved and jam it up.
Bob Stoops this week talked about a non-winning performance from his tight ends a week ago.
Previous play, which was ruled down in the field of play, 4th down, is under further review.
So going to review that one on the 3rd and goal play. Now this should be 4th and down coming up.
He must be thinking about last week, Oklahoma down on the goal line, 4th down. That's the all-time nightmare where they had the delay of game penalty.
With a couple of runs up the middle that time, and it's a bit disconcerting for Bob Stoops that the interior of the line can't open a hole there to get Chris Brown into the end zone.
The rain is not really a factor right now. They're able to keep the footballs dry, and quarterbacks, receivers, you have the advantage if it's a little bit slick out there on offense. But the field drains so well, and a dry football, it's not that big a deal. And actually, it's cooler for the players, and they certainly enjoy that.
A lot of rain throughout the day here, and it's actually not a bad night for football right now, though.
Yeah, because we're inside.
That's right. We're in the press box, and so we're not out there where it's been drizzling the last couple hours.
On the field, stand is called.
As expected, and a big thumbs up from John Zamberlan, the head coach of the Idaho State Bengals in his 3rd year. Former NFL player, was drafted by the New England Patriots.
Bill, I've always been a proponent, especially if you have a bigger quarterback, of quarterback sneaking, but there are a lot of people that go against that. And no better example than down against BYU. The quarterback sneak didn't work on 3rd. On 4th, they get the penalty, and they were going to run a power play to Brown over the right side, and we'll see if they choose to go that way this time.
Got the 2 tight ends, plus got Clapp, the fullback, in there. The interior of the line again. Hayburn is starting at center, and the sophomore Stephen Good at left guard. And there is the quarterback sneak that time, and did he get in? No signal. On 4th and goal at the 1-yard line, the Idaho State defense comes up with the stop.
Well, the fans are restless. A few early boo birds, and I don't believe in booing college football players, but getting down there against a defense that you should be able to overwhelm, that's not good.
So with just over 10 minutes to play, is right up the middle once again. Landry Jones on the quarterback sneak. 3 straight plays. First to Chris Brown, the running back, and then the quarterback sneak. And A.J. Storms, number 30, the player that we talked about on that Idaho State defense, made the first hit and got some help from his friends.
Well, you got to explode off the ball. And the Sooners just being pushed back by a smaller group of defenders.
Got a great look down the goal line right there, and they're going to take another look at that one just to make sure, since it was a key 4th down play.
Well, that'd be a tough one to go against you if you've played so well down there. If you're Idaho State, then they reverse something like this.
You know, the interesting thing about that, the official said 4th down play previously. I'm wondering if there was not some confusion, they wouldn't have reviewed the 3rd down play, because this one is a change of possession play, and you definitely want to review this one just in case.
Bob Stoops with challenges in the past, with situations that he's been able to manage, and he's challenged once again. That's Jackie Shipp, who's done a terrific job there in front of the coach for a moment as a defensive lineman, as a defensive line coach.
Got to be disappointing for Stoops and the coaching staff right there, as they have it right on the goal line and can't punch it in.
Bill, I think Idaho State has to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands pretty quickly. I don't think you run the football against a defense that will get a surge. That ball is as close as it can be to the goal line, and I would say Oklahoma has a 50-50 chance of a safety on this play if they don't throw it and throw it quickly.
Especially if number 93, Gerald McCoy, gets the same kind of penetration he did a week ago against BYU.
Boy, he was a monster, wasn't he?
He really was. I formation behind the quarterback, Kyle Blum. And to the up back, and that is their main running back, Clint Nickram. And he does get a little bit of breathing room.
That's a successful play.
That is.
That is very successful. You notice, though, they don't hand it to the I-back. They don't stand back there and give it to him 5 yards deep. So it's a smart play. And they got a pretty good push, a little better than Oklahoma did going the other direction.
You know, another reason it was a smart play, they ran it away from Gerald McCoy's side, too.
Yeah.
Adrian Taylor, the other tackle for the Sooners, once again trying to run it out. And they have lost a yard that time. Got 2 yards on the first play and brought down at the 2-yard line. It's 3rd and long again for Idaho State.
You know, you mentioned Gerald McCoy and Taylor. Every defense is anchored by the guys that get down on all fours, and those defensive tackles are hard to find good ones. And part of Oklahoma's success, a great deal of Oklahoma's success throughout the years, but certainly since Bob Stoops has been here, is to be able to have a Tommy Harris or a Dusty Dvorak or a Gerald McCoy. Those guys are hard to find, and that's where you start.
3rd and 8 for Kyle Blum and the Idaho State offense. And right at the goal line, did he get out of the end zone? Yes, he did. They're marking it at the half-yard line. Sooners thought they might have a safety there.
Well, that front four is hard to beat. There you see Taylor get penetration, and really it was Austin English, 33, who got the penetration, and everyone in crimson ends up on top. But keep an eye tonight on 33, Austin English. He is a remarkably gifted player. He had injuries last year, and Oklahoma has 3 defensive ends they wouldn't trade for anyone in the country, in Beal, Frank Alexander, and Austin English.
Not much room for John Vanderwielen. Had the rugby-style punt last time. Just trying to get it out there as quickly as possible, but there's a whistle. A lot of whistles early.
Prior to snap, the leg gain, number 43 on the offense. Half distance to the goal. Still 4th down.
Bill, that is the shortest penalty in the history of college football. I'm calling it 1 inch.
In fact, it looks like it's about the same spot it was before. Vanderwielen gives himself a little bit of cushion behind him, about 1.5 yards or so, trying to get it out there quickly. Ryan Broyles takes it at the 45. To the 24-yard line, a 21-yard return for Ryan Broyles, and the Sooners are set up nicely.
Actually a good play to get the kick off, and Ryan Broyles knows that the special teams are going to have to be special this year for Oklahoma to become a contender. He has the ability, gets a little bit of help outside, and the main thing is he gets no flags.
Special teams did a good job last week. It was a 44-yard punt, a 21-yard return here. Landry Jones 2 for 5 on his first possession as a starting quarterback for Oklahoma. Has the I formation behind him here with Clapp at fullback. A play fake this time and rolling left, has a man at the goal line, and yes, this time is he in? There's a flag down back at the 31-yard line.
Well, that was a beautiful throw. In the scheme of things, the flag won't matter, except that you don't want your offensive line to do that. But I tell you what, Oklahoma fans and coaches are going to see, and that's Landry Jones on the move. That's not an easy throw. Might get it out of his hands just a little quicker, so a safety, you know, for a better team might not make the play, but that was pretty darn good.
Roughing the passer, number 35 on the defense. 15-yard penalty to be assessed on the ensuing kickoff.
Bill, we talked about the weather, and it wasn't a factor on that ball. You look at it and you think you can't throw it, but you can with keeping a dry football. Yeah. And the gloves the receivers wear now.
And it's obvious that Ryan Broyles is the favorite target of Landry Jones early on. 24 yards for the touchdown.
That's one of the many things they have to establish tonight, Bill. They need to establish a couple of receivers, but certainly their go-to guy.
They did it with defense, they did it with special teams, and they do it with this. Landry Jones to Ryan Broyles. Dean Blevins, let's see how Oklahoma got on the board first.
Ryan Broyles here in the slot is going to run a corner route. The safety here is kind of hanging, and he'll get over there late. Landry Jones throws a perfect strike. Broyles down, inside, outside. And I tell you what, that is about as good a throw as you can have.
Especially on the run and under pressure. Was the roughing the passer penalty. And Landry Jones has the touchdown pass to Ryan Broyles. And now Matthew Moreland has the ball teed up for what should be one of many kickoffs for him on this night. J.D. Ponciano deep for Idaho State. And booming that one through the end zone. And Idaho State will start at the 20-yard line. Let's go down to the sideline and Alyssa Walker-Campbell.
We saw the big play with Landry Jones to wide receiver Ryan Broyles, but it's no surprise that he's playing with such confidence and at times could post some potentially big stats. Earlier this week, I spoke with his high school coach from Artesia, New Mexico, Cooper Henderson, and he shared that it was that same kind of demeanor and poise that helped lead his team to 2 state championships in high school. He also said what makes him so exceptional is that he has a tremendous work ethic and he wanted to be ready when the opportunity presented himself. I asked him if he had a chance to talk to Landry after the BYU game or perhaps sometime during the week, and he said with all that's on his plate, his practice schedule, schoolwork, perhaps even a girlfriend, he's more of a texter than a talker.
And there's the Sooner defense up to the challenge for a 4-yard loss on the pass out to Ponciano. Great insight there on Landry Jones from his high school coach, Alyssa. We appreciate it.
Quentin Carter, the safety, number 20, and there you see Dom Franks. Dom Franks, the fastest Sooner. Brent Venables telling me that he was clocked 3 times in the spring, 4.3 something every time. And that's fast. I'm a believer that there aren't a lot of people lower than 4.5, so anything in the 4.3 range is flying.
NFL scouts got to love that. 6 foot, 190-pound cornerback. And not much there for Idaho State. And Dom Franks defending at the 20-yard line.
Yeah, nice break on it there. Dom Franks got beat once last week. That rarely happens, but he did. On this one, though, he reads it quickly, comes right up and makes the stop and puts Idaho State in 3rd and long.
Isaiah Burrell was the receiver that time for Idaho State. 3rd down and 10 for the Bengals. All in all, it seemed like the cornerbacks had a good showing a week ago, both Franks and Brian Jackson on the other side. Now Blum lofts it to the right side, and Brian Jackson defending that time. The senior from DeSoto, Texas, and it's punt time once again for Idaho State.
Sooners do what Brent Venables dials up quite a bit. They come with the blitz, and terrific defense by number 2. I'm a big fan of 2. I think Brian Jackson is really a good-looking player who has an NFL future, perhaps. He's a 6'1", 200-pounder. And there's Brent Venables. He likes him as well as the defensive back coach, Bobby Jack Wright.
So here's Vanderwielen again. And Ryan Broyles back at his own 40-yard line. Makes a couple miss, and running room, a flag down as he gets inside Idaho State's end of the field, knocked out of bounds at the 40-yard line.
Kind of a late flag, but it's going to come back. I think it's going to come back because of, I think, Jaden Bird.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 46 on the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, spotted foul, 1st down.
So back it on up.
Broyles getting a good feel for it, though, Bill. He's probably going to have a few chances tonight, isn't he?
And I'm not sure they had the number right.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Back at the 43-yard line is where Oklahoma takes over. 3rd possession of the game for Landry Jones. And DeMarco Murray into the secondary has a 1st down. You know, it's almost like when Oklahoma breaks off a run of 10 or more yards or a pass play, the first thing you do when you're watching the game is see if there's any yellow hanky on the ground, the way this season has started for the Sooners.
DeMarco Murray really needs to bust out tonight. He's been slowed with different types of injuries. He pulled a hamstring in the summer that slowed him. He didn't get a lot of contact until that first game and fumbled a couple.
into coverage that time, looking for his favorite man, Ryan Broyles. It's incomplete.
Yeah, goes to the wrong man there. You called it.
So to bring up a 2nd down and 10. Sooners still implementing a no-huddle offense. That was a no-huddle offense that was at a rapid pace last year, of course, with Sam Bradford at the controls. Murray, not much there. Trying to get more. Whistle came as he was trying to lunge forward. Looks like we'll give him credit for a couple of yards, and it'll bring up a 3rd and long for Oklahoma.
You mentioned the pace that Oklahoma would run offensively tonight. It really will go about as fast as Landry Jones can handle it.
Dewan Miller is flanked out to the left side on 3rd and 8. Cameron Kinney at the bottom of your screen, the split in, and Ryan Broyles in the slot to the right side. And unable to connect with the man at the top of your screen.
Not good all the way around, actually. Had some pressure. Oklahoma with some new linemen in. Brian Simmons getting action. Jarvis Jones was at guard, and Corey Brandon, 70, was back in. They did not have good protection, and I believe once again probably could have checked down to another receiver.
So it's punt time for the Sooners. Tressway on.
Tressway had a big night the other night, Bill down in Dallas.
Pinned BYU deep several times, especially in the 2nd half, much like this right here, where Idaho State will take over right around the 11 or 12 yard line. Of course, a year ago, it was Sam Bradford leading the Sooners to their 3rd straight Big 12 championship, their 6th overall. And he got some help from his friends in the running game. Of course, DeMarco Murray went out early with an injury, and then Chris Brown leading the way. And the defense, turnover happy. It's Chase Daniel in the Missouri offense in that game. Joaquin Iglesias catching the touchdown pass, and a Gatorade bath for Bob Stoops. That's a great feeling. Idaho State starts at their own 12. Nothing there for Clinton Nickram. Trying the right side and loses about 3. Ryan Reynolds leading the charge.
Idaho State now in negative territory offensively. And, you know, as we watch that sequence of plays there from the Big 12 championship, I can't help but think that Bob Stoops has gotten a rap here recently of losing big ball games, which he won a ton early in his career, of course. But the Missouri game's pretty big. If you win that, you go to the national championship. The Texas Tech game here, you win that, you move on. So there are lots of big wins. Many times they're overlooked.
Not to mention winning in Stillwater against Oklahoma State down the stretch last year. And this time, the Oklahoma Sooners defense has a touchdown. Frank Alexander. Gerald McCoy is a disruptive force in the middle of that Oklahoma defense. Check out 93.
Billy
swallowing up the quarterback.
He's double teamed on that play.
Kyle Blum with nowhere to go. Through 2 men. Fumble picked up by Alexander.
93 is as I like to call him, a special breed of cat. I mean, this guy is a student. He's a leader. He's a leader in the classroom, on the field, in the locker room, and not to mention has enough physical talent where he'll be a top 10 pick this year if all things go the way they should.
Might be a top 5 pick or a top 3 pick.
All he did was bench press 325 pounds 22 times. Pretty good. He has some measurables that'll stack up with just about anyone. But this guy, you really can't say enough nice things. I brought up a comparison, and he's not this good a player. Leroy Selmon, I played with him, and I think he was the greatest player to ever play at Oklahoma. But he wore 93. He had impeccable character, and he did some of the things that Gerald does and more. But to be put in that same sentence, Bill, says a lot for Gerald McCoy. Watch him be double teamed here. 71 in the center. try to hold him back and just explosive. And that's one thing that, pardon me, Bill, that is one thing that they feel that he can improve upon is getting in the backfield, disrupting a little bit more. But the first 2 games, he's been pretty dominant.
4 tackles for loss last week. And
make that 5.
Yep. Credited with the sack and the forced fumble, and Frank Alexander benefits with the touchdown, and it's a 14-0 lead as Ponciano, a busy man early, and has a seam and gets up to near the 40-yard line. It's not what Oklahoma special teams was looking for.
No, at times they were awful a year ago, gave up 4 returns for a touchdown, for touchdowns. Hurst turns this one to the inside, and several Sooners on the ground. Nelson 3, not taking care of it. And there you see the kicker fly in. That's the objective there, is to get on the ground, but don't come close to a tackle.
And it was the starting cornerback, Dominique Franks, who finally did make the tackle at the 39-yard line. Plum decides to hand off this time, and Clint Nickram goes nowhere. And he'll bring up a 2nd down and 10.
Frank Alexander on that tackle as well, and this guy is kindly a freak. He is 6'4", about 260 out of Baton Rouge, and he's a guy that runs around 4'6" or 4'7", so athletically he's what you want. He's long and has great explosion.
Well, the front 7 for this Oklahoma defense, and especially that front 4 with the depth that they have as well. They can rotate guys in. 2nd and long, and the pass goes incomplete with Clayton and Carter defending.
Bill, they gave up a lot of yards last week, and they gave up the game-winning drive. So you can't sit there and say, you know, magnificent performance or any of that, because they feel really badly about what happened at the end of the game. But this defense is pretty special. That front 7 you talked about is really good. The 2 corners have experience, and the 2 safeties we'll talk about more as the night goes along are pretty darn good players as well.
So once again, 3rd and long for Idaho State, 3rd and 10 here. And here comes the blitz. And Travis Lewis is there to bring down Clint Nickram at the 39-yard line.
22, Keenan Clayton on the blitz on your screen left. Sooners read the screen really well, and 28 is one of those guys who's a special player as well. 144 tackles last year, and Bill, during the fall, they didn't even know if he was even going to be a player, was going to start, and he emerged to be really something special.
A terrific running back in high school at San Antonio Lee, and he broke Brian Bosworth's freshman record for tackles. A good angle on that punt from Vanderwielen, and so Ryan Broyles unable to return it. Not a very lengthy kick, but at least that Idaho State does not give up a lengthy return from Broyles this time. So the Sooners will take over on offense at their own 31-yard line, looking to get something clicking on offense with Landry Jones after a what I guess you call a 4 and out. They had a 1st down and then 3 and out after the 1st down last time.
One of the young guys in the offensive line that they really like is this right guard right in here. We'll keep an eye on him as the night goes along. Tyler Evans, a true freshman.
Chris Brown gets about 4 out to the 35 as the Sooners work the left side of their offensive line. That's very impressive to step on campus. Tyler Evans as a true freshman and in the home opener be starting. He's opened some eyes on that coaching staff. There's Jarvis Jones, who's moved outside to right tackle. Played a little bit at right tackle a week ago against BYU after Sooners had some problems in the offensive line. This time on the slant, a broken tackle and a 1st down, and a loose football goes out of bounds. Sooners will have it right around midfield.
Well, that'll give Jay Norvell, the wide receivers coach, something to talk about. First thing is he'll say you can't fumble. Next thing he'll say is nice catch, because he knew he was in traffic, knew he was going to get hit, Caleb, who has really come on strong. That's a fumble. You just can't put it down like that. Sometimes you get a helmet on the ball, Bill, or something where you know, a freakish play where you can't keep from fumbling. That was not the case there.
Well, that's the other thing last week is the Sooners had a couple of fumbles that stalled out opportunities. One at the BYU 5-yard line, and then Broyles had one at the 35-yard line.
Previous play, which was ruled a fumble, forward, return to the fumbling spot, is under further review.
Well, they're wasting their time and ours. That one will stand. But it does give us a chance to talk about that guy right there. Caleb is someone that they just feel has a lot of upside. He's a junior, so he only has a couple of years left, but he was a terrific high school track star, triple jump, straight state champion. He was also a broad jump champion, long jump 3 times, a high hurdle and intermediate champion. 6'1", about 190. And he was one of the guys that last week, you know, they didn't expect him to come on that strong. There's a size, but he was the surprise, I guess, a week ago. The pleasant surprise, because there weren't many pleasant or positive surprises.
Had the 4 catches for 57 yards against BYU. From Richmond, Virginia, Brandon Caleb. Well, and the Sooners really need some wide receivers to step up.
Absolutely.
The opportunity is there. Of course, Adrian Tennell got the start a week ago. And Tennell, we haven't seen him out there yet tonight. Cameron Kinney, number 6, also getting an opportunity tonight. We didn't see him a week ago.
Kind of a surprise that he didn't get out there a week ago.
First down at the 49. Talk about a versatile athlete. Cameron Kinney is one. Caleb out left. Broyles to the right with Clapp. A wingback roll right here. Straight drop by Landry Jones and going deep right side. Broyles is there. Broyles is in the end zone. Touchdown, Oklahoma.
I was just getting ready to say that Oklahoma is going to need to go up top some, because they didn't do that at all last week, and I think they regretted not doing that. And there's a great block by 29. Picks up the linebacker right in the middle, gives Landry Jones just a half second longer, gets a lot of air underneath this. Underthrows it by a yard or 2, but Broyles' speed had him by the cornerback. He adjusts, catches a wet ball, touchdown.
Beat Keith McGowan down the right sideline. And 2 touchdowns for the offense, 1 for the defense here in the first quarter with 1:18 to play. Ryan Broyles already with 4 catches for over 125 yards. Ran right by McGowan there, and Broyles,
The second fastest Sooner. He's run under 4.4 consistently in the spring, and if you can do that, you can fly. And this kid out of Norman High School is one of them. As we mentioned earlier, he really needs to come through and be something special, and those are special numbers here early. He can run faster than that. Back, side.
Well, he had to wait on that one a little bit. Yeah, he is already through 1 quarter tonight, approaching his career high for receiving yards in a game. He's just 15 yards behind. 51-yard touchdown catch for Broyles. 69 yards in 3 plays, and that looked more like it for the Oklahoma offense.
Now, that's what you want out of a quarterback, a new guy there. If you told the coaches that after 1 quarter, here's the look on your quarterback's face, they'd say, yeah, things are going fine.
And for the 4th time tonight, Moreland with the kickoff and Ponciano deep. Angles this one to the near sideline. Ponciano trying to find some running room. And brought down around the 22-yard line, as he usually is. Matt Clapp is there to make the tackle. The Oklahoma defense has been dominant early on, as expected, against Idaho State, a Bengals team that managed only 4 first downs and turned the ball over 5 times a week ago. They've got 6 yards here through the first 14 minutes of this game. Oklahoma with 170. Kyle Blum, he played the first half last week against Arizona State, threw 3 interceptions. There's Russell Hill, who worked the second half. Hill injured a hand in practice this week. The Blum is going all the way tonight. Throw that one away.
There was a hold that is about as blatant as I have ever seen, as Ryan Reynolds was streaking through from his middle linebacker position, chasing Blum, and somebody clotheslined him about as well as you can. Watch 4 come in right there at him. Look at this. He gets him to the ground with one arm.
Brad shed, and Ryan Reynolds could not shed the block with Brad shed that time. Second down and 10 at the 22. 3 receivers right. They'll run it left, and they'll lose 2. It's Ben Laporta, the redshirt freshman, and it's Cordero Moore, number 89, in that rotation at defensive tackle for Oklahoma.
Cordero Moore is a player that last week they had to rely on, or they did rely on quite a bit. He was the 3rd guy in. Casey Walker in there as well, 53. He's in that rotation some as well, but Moore is the 3rd down lineman.
3rd and 11 from the 21-yard line, and here comes the blitz, and down goes Laporta. Jeremy Beal, number 44, the junior out of Creekview High School in Carrollton, Texas. As the clock winds down here in the first quarter.
Jeremy Beal has emerged as one of the top defensive ends in the country.
Timeout, Oklahoma. First time out of the half.
With 3 seconds left here in the first quarter.
This is a 30-second timeout.
Bob Stoops wants Idaho State to punt from that end of the field.
Wind in the face of Idaho State, so taking advantage of that.
Not a tremendous wind, but the flags are blowing. The wind out of the north.
Yeah, for around here, it's like nothing.
Yeah.
You put it on the PGA Tour, and they'll send the guys in, you know. Tornadoes.
By our standards here in Oklahoma, it's a perfectly still night. Especially this time of the year. Usually, there's such a gust from the south.
Right.
But with the weather changing here late in the week, it's a northerly breeze, and Bob Stoops wants Ryan Broyles to get an opportunity to return one here with a short field. Always strategizing.
Well, after last week, they have so many unanswered questions or things they saw wrong. They want to see a completely different performance out here. Not so much the dominance. They just want to see their players execute and be in the right spot at the right time.
And the punt, avoiding Ryan Broyles, is Vander Wheelan once again. The punt rolls to a stop at the 42-yard line. That's where the Sooners will take over. We're through 1 quarter of play here in Norman, Oklahoma. The Sooners have 3 touchdowns on the board. Ryan Broyles a couple. Frank Alexander has one too. It's 21-0. The Oklahoma Sooners lead the Idaho State Bengals by a score of 21-0 through 1 quarter of play. John Zamberlin in his 3rd year as the head coach of the Bengals. And the offense against this Oklahoma defense, he knew coming in it was going to be a long night. It's the first team defense. That's what it's been so far through 1 quarter of play. In fact, the Sooners defense already has a touchdown to its credit. And Landry Jones has a couple of touchdown passes to Ryan Broyles.
There are several things that Oklahoma is looking to get more comfortable with, and there you see the numbers for Landry Jones, 140 and 2 touchdowns, hitting 50% of them. But that offensive line, the center in particular, is where it starts with Ben Haber, 61.
Running a little option there, and DeMarco Murray with running room down the sideline.
Yeah, when they run an option play, it's not really looking for Jamel Holloway to cut up inside. It is looking for the quarterback to get it out of his hands. He should have gotten that out just a little bit earlier, because some rangy defensive ends may bat that one down. But nonetheless, that's the look they were wanting, and Kevin Wilson got the yardage and execution.
At 11 yards, did DeMarco Murray into Idaho State's into the field. Now on the play fake. Faked it to Murray, throws it to Murray, makes a move, and he's still on his feet. DeMarco Murray down to the 20-yard line.
Now that's what they're looking for. For Oklahoma to be the team it thinks it can be, they have to have explosive plays. They have to have difference makers. And when this guy's healthy, good job by Landry Jones looking down the field, looking off the safety, comes back to him. Watch this, though. Sure didn't see that last week. But this guy holds on to the football here in a terrific play.
Not one, but two lost helmets for Idaho State defenders on that play.
Hey,
Private snap, false start, 76 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
In my game, that's a 4-shot penalty, isn't it? 2 lost helmets.
At the start of the quarter, they forgot to buckle the chin strap, apparently. Oh, you hate to see the false starts. I don't care if you're playing against air.
Yeah.
You got to eliminate the false starts.
Not after last year.
1st and 15. Chris Brown gets about 8 of it back right there. He'll set up a 2nd down and 7.
You know, Landry Jones has some mobility about him. I remember seeing a lot of high school tape on him where he could run, and ran for 300 yards and 9 scores his last year.
Murray carrying some defenders down to the 11-yard line. Had to get to the 10 for a first down.
Sooners already wearing down this lightish Bengal front 4.
And they certainly don't have the same kind of rotation, the numbers that Oklahoma has, especially playing on the road.
Great look at it here, Bill. It's getting wetter. I don't know how they can keep the dry ball too much in those conditions, but so far it hadn't affected his throwing. He's gotten that thing out pretty well. As Kevin Wilson told me, he said he spins it pretty good.
3rd and 1 here. See if he spins it. Going for the corner of the end zone, and his favorite target tonight, Ryan Broyles. It's a touchdown.
If that's a touchdown, that's a remarkable play. I thought the ball could have gotten there just a little bit earlier, and not to criticize, it's just one of those plays that's well defended, and this will be close. But Landry Jones on target. I don't know.
It's going to be very close to see if he had the ball and had a foot down. He had a foot down. Does he have possession, though? That's the question.
Well, it's a matter of how long his feet are. One of our spotters here went to high school with him. How big a feet does he
what
have,
size shoe does he wear? And again, the call on the field is a touchdown. And the Sooners quickly got the extra point unit out.
Previous play, which was ruled a touchdown because the receiver had his feet inbounds and controlled the ball.
So is that their final call, or they're now reviewing
They're now going to review it.
Yeah, you called it right, though, Bill. They're going to have to find the old irrefutable evidence, and if that's the only camera angle they have, I don't think that you can overturn that. However, it is.
There's another look right there. But still, you're seeing it from the backside of Ryan Broyles, and
you can't turn it up. You can't turn that one around based on the views we've seen.
Exactly. The foot was definitely in. And now maybe this one will give us a better look. Foot's in. He's got the ball there. Question is, does he bobble it at all?
Yeah.
And doesn't appear from that angle that he bobbled it. I think it's good.
Well, unless they have really good high-definition TV upstairs in the replay booth, I don't know that they can change that. Hey, regardless, it's not going to be the difference in the game. You got to look at the execution. And it was a wonderfully thrown ball and a terrific
video
play.
Review. Play on the field stands his call. Touchdown.
And I think that's a good call. In fact, I'm surprised that Ryan Broyles was able to get a foot down with possession of the ball. Just looking at it live, I thought, well, there's no way that he can get a foot down. And it just is a testament to the athleticism of Ryan Broyles to be able to do that, haul that pass in, and get a foot down at the same time. And now Stevens on for the point after.
I think they're finding a go-to guy.
Ooh, off the upright. Yeah, I know Landry Jones. He's a happy man on the sideline, and Ryan Broyles definitely is happy. Approaching his career high in yardage in this game, and Ryan Broyles has 3 touchdown catches, a hat trick.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for our
Landry Jones has 3 touchdown passes. Let's take a look at Dean Blevins at the interior of the line here.
Well, the line does a great job. Murray right here has a safety come in, but look at that arm right there. That's something that you get away with. Perfect execution by the other 10, though. Sooners lucky to not get a flag there.
Very short kickoff this time. Much on the return to about the 28-yard line.
Bill, special teams were much better last week than they were last season. However, deep, you've got to kick the ball off a little bit deeper. Moreland does a nice job, but he had 15 touchbacks last year and as many touchdowns as they had. He had about 500 attempts, I think. But he's got to kick it deep and higher. And then also Stevens, you've got to knock every extra point through, and they're trying to extend his range. Right now, he's probably good from 45 yards or shorter.
So from the 29, high snap to Blum, and Laporta brought down by Austin English. Will lose the football. Like a Sooner may have fallen on it. Nope, it's Idaho State's ball at the 25-yard line, 26.
Austin English has an incredible first step, and he is just aware of everything on the field. He is just a tremendous, tremendous football player. He's gotten bigger. You can see the off-season training for him. He's up a little over 250 pounds.
Well, I'd love to talk to an NFL scout about Austin English, because as a 3-4 outside linebacker, we think he's sort of the prototype right there.
And he can run.
Laporta gets a couple to the 28-yard line.
How deep are they at that position? He was the preseason Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year of the conference going in last year. I mentioned an injury. That's about all that slowed him down.
Right, first team all Big 12 in 07. Third and long for Idaho State. Under center this time is Blum with the I formation. 0 for 5 with the Bengals on third down. Here comes the blitz. And J.D. Ponciano with Sam Proctor trying to wrap him up, but some good strength on the part of Ponciano. Gets out near the first down.
We're looking at a possible first down. Travis Lewis almost gets there. Watch the blocking, though. Nice job. He's held up and right behind him. There you go. The Big Uglies pick up a first down with that surge.
One of the smallest guys on the field, J.D. Ponciano. It's a first down for Idaho State, their first of this game, with 11:07 to play in the second quarter.
First of this game and 5th of the season. Casey Walker there on the stop. Walker, redshirt freshman, another one of the Texans.
Pretty good surge on the left side of the Idaho State offensive line for Laporta that time. It's one of their best pickups on first down in this game. Out to the 44. Manageable second down now for Blum. Not so much on second down, though. There comes a loose football, and Oklahoma is all over it. Sooners say it's their ball. Bengals say it's their ball. And the officials say it's Oklahoma football. Laporta, the redshirt freshman, just as he was going down, Casey Walker was over there trying to land on it. This would get a better look at it. Did he come down? He was close to being down.
If that play stands, that is 6 turnovers already on the season that the Sooners have forced. Take a look at this one. I would if I had the option.
John Zamberlin probably had a pretty good look at it from that sideline. It was right in front of him. Casey Walker out of Garland, Texas.
Here you see 97, the big man there. That's Jamarcus McFarland, and he was heavily recruited nationally. And Oklahoma is extremely pleased with what they got there.
Recovered by Oklahoma is under further review.
Well, the Sooners needed some more defensive tackles, definitely.
Well, we talked earlier, though, you know, that's where it starts. You know, if you have a choice of defensive players, you can have one star. Where do you want him? You want him down right there.
That's right.
And that's where it starts with the Sooners.
Look at those Sooner teams in the middle part of this decade with Tommy Harris and Dusty Dvorak in the middle of that defensive line. And now you've got it again with Gerald McCoy leading the way. And who knows what McCoy's going to do next year, whether he'll turn pro or not. But Jamarcus McFarland out of Lufkin, Texas, number 97 there, is maybe the heir apparent.
Well, I'm thinking back to some of the all-time greats. Rick Bryan, who passed away out of Coweta, was an underrated 10-year player in the NFL, a wonderful gentleman and a fabulous underrated football player. Of course, Tony Casillas, an award winner here. Derlin Moore, if you want to go all the way back to the early 70s, went on and had a very productive NFL career with the Saints, and I'm sure I'm leaving a few out.
Like the Selman brothers.
Well, we mentioned we mentioned at least Leroy, but you got to throw Dewey, and at that point, Lucius was a legitimate nose guard back when they had a 5-man front, and but there have been some good ones.
They're reviewing the fumble by Ben Laporta, and Casey Walker recovered it for Oklahoma.
Now, Bill, you followed Oklahoma football for a long time. If I throw out the name Granny Liggins,
oh, Granville Liggins,
yeah. Let's get a good look at it here.
If you can see that knee, and whether or not the ball was out before the knee hit is the question here. This may give us our best look.
Travis Lewis, the strip. I couldn't tell.
Yeah. And again, the call on the field is it's a fumble and it's Oklahoma football. And now we'll see if they had enough to overturn it.
Mighty close.
After video review, the ruling on the field stands. Oklahoma ball.
They're not liking that ruling from the booth review at the Press Box Sports Bar in Pocatello, Idaho right now. And we want to say hello to those of you watching in Pocatello, Idaho. Population 51,000. You can fit the whole town into Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium.
Well, you got a feel for Idaho State because they've had 2 or 3 go against them. The Royals play, and then this one.
And some sizable yardage on first down there for the Sooners.
Nice job by DeJuan Millers, number 24, rangy wide receiver out of New Jersey. And Ryan Broyles coming out of the slot. A lot of people expected him more out wide, and getting Moses Madu, a terrific talent, more in at the slot, and he hadn't been in there.
That 8 yards, that's a career high receiving now for Ryan Broyles, as he has 145 yards receiving in this game. Chris Brown breaks a tackle into the secondary. It's a first down and a nice pickup for Chris Brown.
Watch the big horses up front. Nice job by Ben Habern, 61, and then Matt Clapp gets his man. And look at Evans, 75, the true freshman we mentioned. Anytime you see a lineman downfield 8 or 10 yards still in contact is that a nasty snap?
It certainly appeared to be a nasty snap that time. That it's a positive pickup.
Or they finally ran a trick play. It was one of the two.
It was a version of the Fumblerooski right there. Down to the 20-yard line. 7 yards. Let's take a look. Ben Habern, the center. And just snapped it to Chris Brown in an unconventional manner.
Yeah, inadvertently.
The Sooner version of the Wildcat offense.
You can tell, though, it is getting wetter, slicker. Andrew Jones will keep that one.
Showing some mobility there, getting outside, running right into your living room.
He sure is. And Josh Heupel, his quarterback's coach, will say, great job. But Landry, go ahead and pick up about 2.5 more yards. And that's certainly critiquing it very closely. But you want to get what you can. You don't want to get hit. And he succeeds in at least one of those things.
Got 5 yards, first down at the 15-yard line. Steady rain coming down here in Norman. Been like this for the better part of about 5 hours in Norman. And slipping and falling and nowhere to go, DeMarco Murray for a loss of a couple.
Kevin Wilson going a lot tonight with 2 tight ends, or going with a tight end that time on the left side and Austin English, and then he brings up Matt Clapp as fullback, who essentially played the tight end role on the right side on that previous play.
3 receivers right this time for Landry Jones.
If you want to see some blocking, watch this cat right here, Brody Eldridge. He had 20 knockdowns at center last week.
Nothing there for Murray. No gain on the play.
Thought they could gash him with something that was unexpected, but well played.
JT Albers, the middle linebacker, number 35, comes up with the play for Idaho State. He had a lot of help. Last week against Arizona State, Idaho State gave up 23 points in the first half of a 50-3 loss. And the first 9 possessions for the Sun Devils in that game, they only had 1 touchdown. Third and long for Landry Jones, and dumps it off with some running room down to the 6-yard line. Chris Brown, he needed to get to the 5.
Bob Stoops sending out the field goal team. I thought they might go for it. Great protection this time. Evans once again doing a great job. And this ends up being a good tackle because Chris Brown almost made it. They end up going for it. Yeah, I thought they would. Might as well get some practice here.
Hurrying it up on 4th and 1 at the 6-yard line with Clapp in there at fullback. 2 tight ends to the right side.
They're not going to get a delay of game call. I'll bet you that.
Worked on that in practice. And a big hole.
Bill, what would they give to be able to have that play last week on 4th and goal against BYU?
What was a 13-7 lead at the time could have been 20-7. I guess it was 10-7 at the time. It would have been 17-7.
Right. Nice job up front by all of the offensive linemen, but in particular, a good push by Brody Eldridge and also by Simmons, 74.
Oh my. JT Albers was there, and he had about 95 yards of green real estate in front of him.
That's one you just can't throw. I mean, against Miami or Texas, those are the kinds of plays that get you. But he's learning. I mean, Landry Jones has played very, very well. You can't expect him to be perfect out there, but that's a losing play there.
Looked like Trent Rattery, the tight end, was open in the back of the end zone, and in the end zone now is Chris Brown for the touchdown.
Simmons in the end zone as well with his man on the turf. So a nice series from Simmons and the Sooners. Simmons is 74. As you see him, he got actually 2 men.
Simmons did not start this game. He did a week ago at left guard. It was Tyler Evans getting the start along with Stephen Good at the guard positions with the youngsters.
What do you think Coach Heupel there was talking to Landry Jones about? I think it might have been that pass in the flat.
The play before, definitely. And Stevens comes on, and this time he bangs it through, and the Sooners of Oklahoma with the sizable advantage, 34-0, as Chris Brown has the touchdown. Oklahoma leads Idaho State 34-0 with 6:13 to play in the second quarter. Idaho State's most famous alum, Jared Allen of the Minnesota Vikings. But check this out. When the Minnesota Vikings played the Dallas Cowboys in the last preseason game a couple of weeks ago, look at all the Sooners on the field. You got John Cooper, you got Manny Johnson of the Cowboys, Marcus Walker, who's now on the practice squad of the Carolina Panthers, AD, of course, Tashard Choice, who started his college career here at OU, and Phil Lodeholt, big Phil Lodeholt. There were 6 Sooners on the field, so even on that day, Idaho State's Jared Allen was outnumbered by Sooners a couple of weeks ago.
That's a lot of ink for that tattoo, huh?
Lots of Sooners in the NFL. and they're all doing well, it seems like. J.D. Ponciano run out of bounds at the 32. Another bit to that little story. You know, Adrian Peterson's father, Nelson Peterson, played basketball at Idaho State. In fact,
did not know that.
In fact, Nelson Peterson still holds the Bengals record for three-pointers made in a game.
Is that right?
He had 8 three-pointers in a game for Idaho State's basketball team back in 1985.
Have you met him?
I've not met him.
You know, he's come through a lot and is on the right track right now, but he looks like Adrian. He's as fit as Adrian. And you talk about a handshake, you will only shake hands with him one time.
Kind of like Adrian.
Right.
Option and nothing there. Travis Lewis and others. Frank Alexander.
Austin Box standing nearby, number 12 out of Enid. Getting a lot of players in right now, especially on the offensive line.
And the Sooners don't have a whole lot of depth on that offensive line, so I think
you'll see the same guys.
Yeah, in the second half. Probably get the skill position guys off the field in the second half. Of course, Bob Stoops' team plays Tulsa next week, then an off week, and then at Miami. On the 28, 2nd and 14.
Timeout. Oklahoma. Second timeout of the half.
So Oklahoma calls timeout with 5.5 minutes to play here in the second quarter while they figure things out on the Sooners sideline. We're back in a moment. Kyle Blum and the Idaho State offense heading back out onto the field, down 34-0 with just over 5 minutes to play here in the second quarter.
Interesting happenings there a moment ago. Travis Lewis running off, and he had a Janet Jackson. He had an equipment malfunction with a shoe, and there's the total yards.
Wow, 281-4.
But anyway, that's the reason for the timeout.
Setting up the screen. Oh, what a big hit from Keenan Clayton on J.D. Ponciano, and the Sooners. Quentin Carter came up with the football, but Idaho State will have a 3rd and long.
Now this guy is explosive. He has been moved from safety 2 years ago. He had a nightmarish start on this field at about that very same spot. The University of Washington ran play, and it was an easy tackle for him. He got juked. It was a touchdown. He didn't live it down for the season. They moved him to linebacker, and he has played extremely well as the Sam.
6'1", 221-pounder out of Sulphur Springs, Texas. Keenan Clayton. Kyle Blum decides he needs a timeout right here with 5:22 to play in the second quarter. 3rd and long. Well, Brent Venables has to love the way Clayton has played at that linebacker spot after moving him there. Sooners with that 34-0 lead here against Idaho State. You know, through the years, take a look at the tradition that Idaho State walks into tonight. The 7 national championships, the 42 conference championships, 24 bowl championships, 148 All-Americans, and with Bradford winning last year, now 5 Heisman Trophy winners here in Norman. And that 555 wins since World War II leads the nation.
A lot of numbers that lead the nation, and when you have Bud Wilkinson and Barry Switzer and Bob Stoops coaching, you're going to have a lot of records and a lot of great players, but those 3 men have had a great deal to do with that success.
Now 3rd and 14 for the Bengals. Nick Rum with nowhere to run.
Now that's an interesting play call. I know you're concerned about a blitz or a rush on your quarterback, but sweep left against a fast defense on a slick field is a fairly conservative call down 34-0.
Calling a timeout too.
Right.
John Zamberlin had a 5-year career in the NFL with the New England Patriots. This is a team that went 1-11 last year. They got their lone win when Kyle Blum was the quarterback, an overtime victory over Sacramento State. The final game of the season last year. John Vander Wielen with the punt. And Ryan Broyles We'll head left. He's run out of bounds after a nice little return past the 40-yard line.
You know, they're not exactly playing the Green Bay Packers, I understand that, but 85 there, Ryan Broyles seems to have it in another gear tonight. I know that they got in the faces of a lot of these kids wanting them to play up their potential, not wanting 70 to get a holding or a motion penalty or false start. In 85, I really think that they got with him and said, you've got to do something different. You've got to be a difference maker. And, Bill, he's been extraordinarily impressive tonight.
Well, as we talked about earlier, wide receivers have to step up because several a week ago, and Ryan Broyles has got to be the leader of that wide receiver corps, I think. On the run, the throw is complete to Ryan Broyles. Who else at the 49-yard line?
Now look at the rain and realize how the difficult conditions. Landry Jones, play fake, gets out, turns his shoulders, gets some zip on the ball. That's a perfect throw and a great catch. Now you wonder where the other receivers are. It's a fabulous game by Broyles, but these other guys are going to have to do something. They hadn't really had a lot of opportunities.
And in trouble in the backfield, brought down for a loss is DeMarco Murray. Chad O'Donnell with the stop for Idaho State. Got some penetration that time. And really, it doesn't matter who the Sooners are playing against tonight. That offensive line is really being judged.
Yeah, they are. At times they've been good, but frankly, at times they haven't exerted the physical dominance that you would think, especially on the goal line earlier. But overall, they have played well.
Corey Brandon back in the game now at right tackle for Oklahoma. Set up the screen. DeMarco Murray almost dropped it, but he keeps the handle on it and works his way upfield near the first down marker.
Good play call. Had the blitz coming. Kevin Wilson, Josh Heupel know it's coming. Perfect time for the dump off, and Murray almost lets that one get away. But you know, Bill, he's running pretty well tonight. And he'll have to for Oklahoma to beat the Miamis and Texases, and I think Tulsa's going to come in here and be tough.
Yeah, next week. That's exactly right. Chris Brown is the back behind Jones. He gets the call with lots of running room up the middle. Has the first down on a 3rd and 1 play. And Murray had what they turned early in that game a week ago, a minor toe issue. Well, we saw last year the importance of a healthy DeMarco Murray for this Oklahoma offense. The explosiveness that he has.
And early in the season, he did not have that.
Through the Texas game.
Right. But he came back in the second half of the season and played extremely well. Gets hurt against Missouri in the Big 12 championship game. Does not play in the national championship game, just like he didn't in the BCS game the year before. So now the objective is to get him going full speed, unlike a season ago.
3 receivers left. Going downfield, Kinney. And the ball goes off his hands, incomplete.
Now, Kinney is coming in from junior college, and he has a lot of potential. I think Oklahoma fans have been waiting to see him. But this is the second ball that he's had a chance to catch. Both times he's had a defender right in front of him. You know it's going to come. But frankly, you really, those are the plays that make the difference from being a great player to being a player.
Also make the difference whether you're going to play anymore, too. Chris Holmesley had the hit, the safety for Idaho State. Breaking a tackle this time is Cameron Kinney, and he gets down to the 13-yard line.
That's a great call by Kevin Wilson to come right back to him, the offensive coordinator. He knows that kid can play. He's had 2 opportunities before this and didn't snag either one of them, so they come right back to him. Good throw, escapes the first would-be tackler, and this guy's pretty good.
Coming outside, DeMarco Murray tripped up just as he got inside the 5-yard line.
DeMarco Murray does a lot of this on his own. Miller, 24, does a nice job of shadowing his man.
Dewan Miller, the wide receiver. It's so important as well. Saw a couple of plays last week that didn't work because either wide receivers or tight ends couldn't hold a block. First and goal at the 3-yard line. So it was a pickup of 10 yards for Murray there.
4 seconds. They better call timeout. Fans aren't going to like it.
Shades of a week ago against BYU. Fans aren't going to like it. I'm thinking the coach doesn't like it either. The officials are huddling.
Well, I think they're trying to determine if a timeout was called before the clock.
No foul on the play. Oklahoma charged timeout. Timeout Oklahoma. Third timeout of the half.
I can hear Oklahoma fans saying, why didn't that happen last week?
Yeah. But Bob Stoops talking to the official, I think he felt they had a timeout called a little bit earlier.
Take a look at young Ryan Broyles today. He has put on a show. It's a career high performance for Ryan Broyles in this game.
First play we saw was the first play of the game. And watch how elusive this little guy is. 5'11".
There's one touchdown. There's 2 touchdowns. How about that one for a 3rd touchdown?
That's a classic, that last one.
7 catches, 155 yards, and 3 touchdowns in less than 1/2 of football.
That is fabulous. The other part of it is you've got to find other receivers. And Broyles, I mean, you obviously can see what he can do, and I think it's wonderful they've established him as the guy. But you've still now got to come back to Kenny. You've got to come back to Caleb. You've got to find out if Tennell is going to be a player for you. You've got to take a look at Moses Madu at some point. I would think he would be a slot, and they'd move Broyles out.
And that's why this game is so important for Oklahoma. It doesn't matter who they're playing. You know, in college football, there's no such thing as preseason games. You can't play against outside competition before the regular season starts. And so you've got to see if these young receivers if the stage is going to be too big for these receivers.
Yeah, so that question hasn't been answered. It's not that they haven't done much. They haven't had opportunities.
Right.
One of the questions coming into this game that was very, very important was, can 61 play well enough at center to keep Brody Eldridge at tight end? We'll keep an eye on it, but I think so far so good for Haber.
All the more important with Gresham being out for the year now. Up the middle, and there was a very huge hole for DeMarco Murray to run through that time for the touchdown.
Once again, we call out the name of Brian Simmons, left guard, 74.
Took care of 2 or 3.
Not much resistance there. That's the same defense that played really, really well. There you get a good look at it. Tell you what, that young freshman's playing pretty well too. This Tyler Evans, I now know why they're talking so much about him. Keep an eye on him. 75, and there is the man who opened up the way, Brian Simmons. He's got a radio voice. If you ever talk to him,
I've not had a chance to yet.
Oh man, you and I wouldn't have this job.
Man from North Carolina, Brian Simmons. Probably didn't like the fact he wasn't starting in this game. He's making up for lost time.
Trent Williams, 71. That's a terrific job by him, and he is a projected first-round draft pick. I'm sure most viewers know that he is one of the 4 who returned this year that brought so much optimism to Oklahoma fans. Who were going to be drafted very, very high, along with Sam Bradford, Jermaine Gresham, and Gerald McCoy. Optimism still out there, Bill, but we've got to incrementally see this improvement in many, many phases, and then see the return, although Landry Jones is playing very well, for Oklahoma to have any chance of reaching its goals. Number 14 has to be back out there.
Got 1:15 to play here in the first half of this one. I'll let you know that Joe Castiglione, the athletics director of the University of Oklahoma, will be joining us at halftime. Moreland has the ball teed up, and as you can see from that shot right there, it is still a steady rain that is falling here, and he just tops this one. And one of the up men will take it for Idaho State and get out to about the 40-yard line. And that's where the Bengals will take over on offense.
He was tackled by
Rain on the camera, and even though it is a rainy night in Norman, it's a very nice sized crowd. The temperature 72 degrees. You like that part of it, but if you're watching a football game, you don't like the precipitation.
No.
So with 1:09 to go here, Kyle Blum, Idaho State offense, which has 1 first down in the first half, 3 total yards. Ben Laporta, now they have 0 total yards.
And I'll tell you what, to have it so overloaded on that side and to lose 5 yards, that is hard to do. But it's a terrific job defensively by Oklahoma. You can tell the team speed is remarkable.
Austin Fox, number 12, getting an opportunity here throughout the second quarter of this game. Casey Walker, number 53, one of the backups. Cordero Moore as well.
One guy to keep an eye on is R.J. Washington, number 91, a highly touted redshirt freshman out of Fort Worth.
He's playing left defensive end right now. 2nd and 15, and no gain. 3rd and 15. And here's a parade All-American, number 91, R.J. Washington.
Well, they think another cat, number 90, he's not in there now, but David King is every bit as good. He's 6'5", 240, another redshirt freshman. He's out of Houston.
And that's one thing, Dean, in the second half of this game. I'm interested in seeing some of those young players. Of course, Washington and King are both redshirt freshmen, and maybe some true freshmen will get in as well, as Bob Stoops making the decision that several of those true freshmen will play and not redshirt this year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But all in all, in this first half, a 41-0 lead for the Sooners as both teams head to the dressing room. It has had its bright spots. Of course, 41 points on the board will do that, and the domination of the Oklahoma defense, but there are still some question marks as well. Again, we'll be joined at halftime by Joe Castiglione, the Oklahoma athletic director. But right now, let's go down to Alyssa on the sideline with Coach Stoops.
Coach, terrific execution in the first half. You've got to be pleased with the number of guys, especially Ryan Broyles.
I'm just, pleased that there's the penalty issues, just playing responsible, taking care of the ball. Sure, and Ryan's had a nice game, and Landry's done a nice job.
What are you going to say?
It's rain and weather, taking care of the ball. Again, no penalties. That kind of stuff is what we need to do.
What will you say to the guys at halftime?
Just that, to keep playing clean. That was our problem a week ago, just not playing responsible and accountable with penalties. And so hopefully we can do that the second half.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, we thank you, Alyssa. We'll have more from Alyssa throughout the second half of this game. We'll be joined by the Oklahoma basketball coaches in the second half. Lots to look forward to. In fact, Joe Castiglione at halftime. Oklahoma leads it 41-0. OU leads Idaho State 41-0 at halftime here at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium as the Sooners come back out onto the field for the second half of this one. And some hardy fans have stuck around too in the rain here in Norman. The Sooners, of course, coming off a banner season a year ago, another Big 12 championship, and they advanced, of course, to the BCS National Championship game in Miami against the Florida Gators. Bob Stoops' team once again in a national championship game. And yes, Nick Harris with a big defensive play for the Sooners right there. But people forget, they know who eventually won the game, but how close it was until the very late stages of this game. 24-14 Florida win over Oklahoma.
Well, you know, Bill, you look back at that, and you're exactly right. No one wants to hear that, particularly since Bob Stoops' teams have lost in championship games. However, this was another game that was similar to some of these other losses. They have it down at the end of the first half, and if they can stick it in, they end up getting the interception. But if they can stick that in the end zone, you go to the halftime locker room with momentum, and I think Oklahoma wins that game. Still late in the game, they're still in the ball game and have a chance. But it's an outstanding Florida team, deserving of the national championship, but Oklahoma was right there.
And statistically in the first half, it looks this way as the Sooners ring up 17 first downs, just one for Idaho State. 105 to -15 rushing, 235 to 13 passing, total yards 340 to -2.
The number there I marked was 235. That's what Landry Jones has done here in the first half, Bill. 12 of 19. He's been finding Ryan Broyles mostly, but you got to remember, I was talking about the fact that, you know, sometimes it helps to have a little bit of wetness out there for the quarterback and receiver, but it's getting very wet, and this guy threw it very accurately. He threw it on the run, he threw it from the pocket, threw a variety of passes, and I think that the biggest question coming in was what could he do? I think he's answered that.
And I think also the biggest question going into the second half of this game now is how does Bob Stoops and the coaching staff handle things as far as playing time, especially considering the conditions and also up 41-0, but also considering the fact that Landry Jones needs as many snaps as he can get.
Yeah, they're in a quandary, really, because the biggest curiosity I have is Drew Allen, who is a great-looking prospect, a freshman out of San Antonio. And there you see Landry's numbers, 235 for 3 touchdowns. But Drew Allen, are they going to redshirt him? They're going to play him. A lot of people are saying you got to play him because if Landry Jones gets hurt and plays against Tulsa next week, then you got to have somebody to come in and play. That's assuming Sam Bradford doesn't. But you're right, because you can't go score 80 points. That's nasty looking. It's a run up the score deal, even though it wouldn't be. But you got to let your guys play because there's so much improvement that they need to make.
And then the question on running backs. Do you have DeMarco Murray? Do you have Chris Brown play in the second half?
I would think
game,
probably a little bit. Yeah, I think Jeremy Calhoun, who made a tackle on a special teams unit a little bit earlier, I think he'll probably get a lot of action. But these guys that haven't proven themselves, or guys that played poorly last week, you've just got to let them get some reps out there. There's nothing like game reps.
One guy who has not seen any action so far is that guy, number 16, Jarrett Huck, the place kicker for the Idaho State Bengals. He gets his first action of the game on the opening kickoff of the second half and sends it into the end zone for a touchback. And Jarrett Huck a week ago provided the lone points for Idaho State against Arizona State, and it was no ordinary field goal.
No,
it was a 55-yarder. In fact, the Sooners could have used him a week ago.
Yeah, he had 3 yards to spare, right, on the 52-yarder.
Was it 52, 54, whatever it was. And Landry Jones will come out to start the third quarter. DeMarco Murray will as well.
I'll be interested to see when they do put it up, if they throw it to someone other than Ryan Broyles. They've got to establish someone besides him.
Kenny and Caleb are the other wide receivers. And lots of running room for DeMarco Murray. Makes a cut. And look out. Past midfield and down to the 43-yard line.
Big time run by DeMarco Murray, who has to make those plays for the Sooners to get there this year. What I was really hoping to see was him have some green grass between himself and the goal line to see if that hamstring would hang with him and let him really stretch out. You know, his strides aren't quite as long as they normally are, but a terrific run nonetheless.
Runs through a tackle there, and another terrific run after getting 38 on the first play of the second half. There's another 16. So 54 yards on 2 carries for DeMarco Murray in the second half. Now Chris Brown in there at running back.
You know, looking at that picture, it looks perfectly dry. It's not. That's a quality video.
Down inside the 10, Chris Brown out of the backfield catching the football.
Idaho State's going to have to come out fighting a little bit, Bill, or, you know, it could easily get nasty. They played hard and played well early in the first quarter, and it still got to 41-0.
John Zamberlin with a depleted roster, of course, being an FCS team to begin with and playing on the road at a powerhouse like Oklahoma.
Only the third FCS team that Bob Stoops has played in his tenure.
And the big hit applied outside.
Broyles wasn't expecting the blow, and he got it.
Still down.
And he's still down.
Led right into the hit by Michael Wright. Couldn't hold on to the football. And now he's back up is Ryan Broyles. Raining harder here in the second half than it did throughout the first half.
Moses Madu in for his former high school teammate.
And into the end zone. Easy as that for DeMarco Murray. Takes all of a minute 16 to make this a 47-0 game. 3 carries for DeMarco Murray on that 80-yard drive.
Not much defense there. Good blocking, though, up front by the Sooners, and also Moses Madu. There you see him, number 17, just came in for Broyles. Terrific block by him.
And Murray with 3 carries for 63 yards on that drive. Stevens on for the point after. Missed one earlier. Hits this one, and it's a 48-0 lead. Just a minute 16 into the second half of this game on a soggy night in Norman, Oklahoma. Wow, the rain really coming down. And yes, we're dry up here in the broadcast booth, but those are the ones putting in the real work tonight. And Oklahoma fans sticking around in the second half. Get some great seats here in the second half if you're sitting up in the upper deck.
You know, these are your best fans. When you're a player, those that boo, you don't ever want to see them again. Then you've got about 20,000 or so that sit on their hands quite often. And then you have the rest of these guys. And those are, I mean, it was loud here just a moment ago. And these guys, I think they were getting more fired up because the rain was coming down heavier. But these are the true blue fans and the crazy ones.
Once you're wet, you can't get any
That's
more
right.
wet than what they were already.
That's
through
right.
the first half. Might as well stay through it. Incomplete on the near sideline. This is Keenan Clayton in the game. Got first team defense out there. Not unexpected here. Now Ryan Reynolds is out as Austin Box is in the middle. And you do have Cordero Moore as well as Casey Walker in the defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, Gerald McCoy, you can sit Adrian Taylor, those guys, and where they don't have much depth is where some of the frontline guys will go. But Ryan Reynolds was actually, they spelled him a lot in preseason ball, didn't give him as many reps, and it wasn't because his knee was sore, coming off 3 knee surgeries, it's just because they wanted to let him rest some and check the other guys out. Unfortunately, Bill, the guys that they checked out aren't playing. Mike Balogun, terrific prospect, having improved so much late in the season a year ago when he got a lot of playing time. His status still unknown. And then, of course, Tom Wirt, who I've never heard Brent Venables speak more highly of a freshman linebacker. He says clearly the best he's ever seen.
Out of New Braunfels, Texas, and he had an unfortunate knee injury in preseason drills.
So the strongest position you have goes to one that's of concern.
3rd and long for Idaho State. Going deep downfield. Overshoots everybody. And it's punt time once again for Idaho State. And Kyle Blum getting the start at quarterback for the Bengals. Russell Hill was scheduled to start, but he injured a hand in practice this week. Not believed to be a too serious injury, but Zamberlin decided to give Kyle Blum the start in this game and probably throughout this game because the backup has never played in a college football game. Dominique Franks is the deep man for Oklahoma. Of course, Hopefully Ryan Broyles is okay after taking that big hit on the last offensive possession. John Vanderwielen with the punt. There is a whistle at the snap, and looks like the play clock ran out.
Quiet snap. Delay of game. 43 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Well, I have a feeling that we've seen the last pass thrown to Ryan Broyles. And there's a guy who can chunk it pretty well, William.
That's exactly right.
Sam Bradford in that right shoulder, gotten a lot of interest nationwide, and he has really had a lot of improvement this week. He's been in the pool a lot. Says that it hasn't given him pain at all, and he is anxious to get back out there. Probably a little overly optimistic.
Started his rehab the day after that BYU game. Franks fields the grounder. Running sideways for no gain. So the Sooners will take over on offense at their own 30-yard line. When we come back to Norman, it's 48-0. With 12.5 minutes to play here in the third quarter, 48-0. The Sooners of Oklahoma lead Idaho State. Next week, the Sooners will be hosting Tulsa. And then after a week off, they make that trip down to Miami to play a nationally ranked opponent. And back here in Norman to play Baylor in that Texas game on the 17th of October. As it turns out, with the status of Sam Bradford, it's a very fortunate thing that the Texas game is a week later than normal this year. It gives that man an extra week to get back. Sooner fans are hoping he gets back far before that.
Landry Jones still in there. Sam Bradford, and I was talking a little bit earlier that he's not having pain in that shoulder right now. He's getting quite a bit of motion in it. Not begun throwing, but he's anxious to do so. The coaches are very optimistic, but at the same time, you can't get out there too early. There's the draft status for one thing, but just the re-injury issue of if you get hurt again, you're done for the year.
The completion to DeJuan Miller, who took a seat at the 35-yard line, had a lot of running room in front of him had he been able to keep his feet. Jeremy Calhoun in the game at running back now.
I think Landry's gotten some coaching from Josh Heupel, the runner-up in the Heisman, Sam Bradford, the winner, and then, oh, by the way, Cale Gundy, who held all the records till Heupel showed up. Think they've got any coaching for him?
Over the middle, incomplete at the midfield. Let's go down to the sideline now, and Alyssa Walker-Campbell.
Hey, you guys have been talking about the quarterback, Sam Bradford, and although he's finding himself in unfamiliar territory and injured and on the sideline, he is still very much playing an active role with his team and being a vocal leader. You know, Sam had said coming into this year that he wanted to focus more on his leadership role, be more vocal, be more demonstrative, and to be quite candid, guys, it's something he's really had to grow into. His personality is perhaps a little bit more laid back. He's pretty quiet normally, but we even saw in the second half in the BYU loss him really trying to rally his Sooners and give them a boost, and this leadership is going to be vital so that the Sooners can regroup, and they will need momentum. As you guys were talking about Tulsa, Todd Graham's team, they'll be ready to go.
That's certainly right, Alyssa, as there's flags down. Tressway limping off the field.
Well, this should go against Idaho State and put it in fourth and very short, or first down, but probably fourth and very short.
Offside. Defense. Result of the penalty, first down.
Wow.
Well,
not sure I guess the stake was right at the 40-yard line, and they determined that they didn't even need to measure that.
Yeah, the guys on the sideline said, we don't want to run out there. just move on to get that running clock. A lot of pressure on Tressway. He actually gets hit and limped off a little bit. Tressway feels so badly because he was the kicker on the missed field goal attempt late in the game. He was so excited about his first field goal attempt as a Sooner, having a chance to win a big game like that, and he just said he mishit it. Said it was a good snap, good hold. He said he just mishit it.
Landry Jones still in there at quarterback for Oklahoma. Madu and Kinney are the receivers to the right. Gets it out on the screen to Jeremy Calhoun. Look at Jeremy Calhoun go into Idaho State's end of the field inside the 45-yard line. The redshirt freshman from Van, Texas.
He has really improved since he's gotten here, and he is a redshirt freshman, so he hadn't been around long, but he didn't look like this a season ago. And I mentioned Chris Brown's sleeker. This cat is as well, and he was, you know how he was down in Texas. He's a heck of a player and a parade All-American.
Highly touted. Played at a smaller school at Van. In fact, they were forced to play him at quarterback. Class 3A school. He was the state player of the year. And Madu gets inside the 40. Adrian Tennell is now in the game for Oklahoma. He is the wide receiver on the near side of the field, split out to the left.
Moses Madu with his first snag.
So from the 39. And off target that time to Jeremy Calhoun coming out of the backfield.
Well, they're not going to throw it downfield unless it just becomes obviously wide open. So they're going to keep it underneath. That ball must have slipped. Dwan Miller missing a catch a moment ago. That's one of those things that they're going to have people come through, and he dropped one earlier on this series, number 24.
Three receivers to the right this time as Jones throws deep downfield over Moses Madu, just beyond Moses Madu. And it's going to bring up a fourth down.
Pretty good throw by Landry Jones. He knows he's coming back to Madu to the right side. Actually has him open. Tough catch. In fact, it's an impossible catch, but not a bad throw.
Josh Heupel talking with Landry Jones on the sideline as Tress Way, the left-footed punter, sends one near the goal line. It's on into the end zone for a touchback. And Idaho State will take over at its own 20-yard line as the Sooners lead this one 48-0. The Sooner Scooter. They excited about things or
You're
what?
winning.
10:13 to play in the third quarter here in Norman, Oklahoma. John Zamberlin's Idaho State Bengals expected a night like this. Hope that they didn't have the rain that they've had to endure in this game, but it's been raining points for Oklahoma. 48-0 at this point. Idaho State takes over at the 20-yard line. Several backups now in the game for Oklahoma on defense. Throwing deep down the sideline to Isaiah Burrell. It's a completion at the 39-yard line for the second first down of this game for the Bengals.
Well, if you just tuned in, you have missed 48 points. But if you just tuned in and you just saw that play, you'd think that this was the Miami Dolphins. That was extremely well executed.
You were going to say the Cincinnati Bengals?
Well, I was. Yeah, that's right. That was too easy.
Give them more credit. From the 39, rolling left, Blum. And that one is a misfire. Jaron Taylor. Dominic Franks is still in the game at cornerback. In the front seven, however, defensively for Oklahoma, there are some backups. We already saw number 91, R.J. Washington in earlier. But the linebacking crew, I'm interested in seeing Ronell Lewis play for the 56 and linebacker. He's in the game now. True freshman.
Came out of Dewar High School where they played 8-man football, but physically he fits the part, number 56.
Dewar, Oklahoma, located right by Henrietta. Population 921. 2nd and 10. And Idaho State starting to move that football out to midfield at the 50-yard line. That was Burrell again.
Demontre Hurst gives him quite a bit of cushion here. He's the boundary corner, and he's the one we were talking about earlier that Bob Stoops is so high on, and all the coaches. But he's playing off a little bit, and a good throwing catch.
And Demontre Hurst, the true freshman from Lancaster, Texas. And Dean, you mentioned it on one of the first kickoffs of this game. He was noticeable on kick coverage a week ago, coming down that left side, and a couple of tackles on special teams, and you could see his speed on the kick coverage against BYU. Got a timeout, Idaho State here. You know, we talked about it with Joe Castiglione at halftime, the Oklahoma athletic director, but yes, phase 4 here at Oklahoma Memorial Stadium is complete, just completed last month, and that includes a more spacious locker room area. Does that locker room remind you at all of the locker room that you had at Owen Field in the 70s here?
Well, I lockered next to Gary Gibbs one year that we overlapped, and all I know is that we sat on each other's lap, I think. We were so close together, and it smelled like a barn at the Kentucky Derby. Now I think they've got a little bit better situation. You know, the one thing that's impressive, though, about their facilities is it's an ongoing process. They don't stop. It's a million here, a million there, and by the time it's all done, every sport has had a significant upgrade.
From midfield. That time breaking on the ball is DeMontre Hurst as the intended receiver Jaron Taylor falls down. And it's a 2nd and 10 at the 50-yard line for Idaho State. Other youngsters in the game for Oklahoma defensively. Number 5, Joseph Ibaloy from Garland, Texas.
Nicely done, Bill. Ibaloy, right? That's exactly right.
I just guessed.
No, that's...
I wanted to say Ibaloye, but I actually read the media guide, and there's a great pronunciation guide in there that said Ibaloy.
That is exactly right, and before his career is over at Oklahoma, people will all know how to pronounce Joseph Ibaloy. This guy is he was a safety a year ago, and they moved him up to linebacker to Sam. Plays the position that Keenan Clayton plays, but he's rangy, very long. His great length is 6'3", 208. But I think he has a very bright future in front of him.
You know, that's something that's very important in the age of the spread offense. In recruiting, you find those safeties who are big enough to convert into a linebacker position that way, and especially with the no huddle where you can't substitute defensively, you got to have versatile players out there.
Well, that's what they did with Clayton,
right?
And now Ibaloy. He'll find a way on the field. He'll find a way on the field, and probably next year as a Sam linebacker, because Clayton's gone. But whether it's at safety or this position, he'll play. And so, Sooner fans, it's Ibaloy. Ibaloy and Wirt, 2 names you're going to hear. And you mentioned Lewis, Jaden Bird.
First 30 plays, a -4. The last 5 plays, 31 yards of offense for the Bengals of Idaho State. Facing a 3rd and long here, and it goes incomplete. It'll be punt time one more time for Idaho State here.
You got to wonder why you run a 6-yard out
when you need 15.
You've got 3rd and long. Tell you what, it'd be tough to be a player at Idaho State right now. I mean, you're just sopping wet over there. You got no chance in the game.
For what they're playing for, things are going to get very competitive for them on down the road this season, because the competition is going to be different than the first 2 games of this season, playing at Arizona State and at Oklahoma. And trouble here, more trouble for the Bengals, as Oklahoma's special teams come through in a big way. Marcus Trice out of Mesquite, Texas.
Well, he made the play on both ends of it, and Trice is the guy I started mentioning a moment ago, but he wasn't on our screen, so I couldn't. But now he deserves all the mention. Now, for him to block that is pretty good, because he's only 5'8", 178, but he's a true freshman that they absolutely love.
And I really think Marcus Trice is a great example of the job that Oklahoma coaches do in recruiting, because he wasn't that highly regarded until Oklahoma got on him and he committed to Oklahoma at the outset of his senior season last year. There's a fumble and Landry Jones goes down. And probably one of the reasons he wasn't as highly regarded was because he's listed at 5'8".
Well,
he was a playmaker at Mesquite High School last year.
Is that right?
Offense and defense, yeah.
Well, they say he covers a lot of ground and a heady young kid.
It did not surprise me at all to see that Marcus Trice was making an impression in preseason camp and playing as a true freshman this year.
I think there's a good look at him. Comes in a lot of nickel and dime situations. You know, I think we're getting our answer on the possible red shirt situation with Drew Allen, because he is a player with a lot of potential who backs up Landry Jones, and he's yet to hit the field. They want to give Landry Jones as many reps as possible, but at the same time, it's probably time you would have seen Drew Allen.
Calhoun trying to push his way forward to the 23-yard line.
I don't know if they did this on purpose, but that's a very conservative call, and I was thinking they were putting themselves into position on this 4th down for a field goal to give Stevens an opportunity, but they're not. They're going for it, so my point's wrong, and Bill, why don't you take it over?
Moving on from the 23, Idaho State defensively expected it, I think, as well, and there's the pick. And Idaho State's defense comes up with a play right there. That is Philip Pleasant, who led the Bengals in tackles a week ago against Arizona State. He is a redshirt freshman from Rosamond, California, and he comes up with a big defensive play on 4th down.
Not a good decision on that one. Haven't seen that much tonight, but terrific protection. And if it's not there, he's done a pretty good job of checking down to other receivers. But on 4th down, you've got to make the play, and if you don't, I guess an optimist would say, well, you moved him back 15 yards. There's Drew Allen, number 15. John Nemo, number 5, out of Ponca City, is the 3rd quarterback, at least a healthy 3rd quarterback.
And the completion goes for a pickup of another 1st down, 3rd of the half for Idaho State. That was Ponciano on the receiving end, out to the 30-yard line. You know, but that was just more evidence that Landry Jones needs as many reps as possible.
Yeah.
It does become a dicey situation, though, because you also don't want to risk injury with Landry Jones in the second half of a game. I mean, it's the same principle. It's not the same quarterback as Bradford, but same principle, since he's the only experienced and just somewhat experienced quarterback on the roster.
You're exactly right. Mentioned Jamarcus McFarland earlier. That's Hibbeloy again, but Jamarcus McFarland is a tremendously talented young player. He is number 97. Right there.
One of the scouting services had him rated the number 2 overall recruit in the country last year out of Lufkin, Texas, same high school that produced Des Bryant, wide receiver at Oklahoma State. Blum takes a slide down, and it gets into a manageable 3rd down for Idaho State.
Well, we mentioned 97. He'll run right by the Blum, the quarterback here. He gets good penetration, but Blum slips by him there. You know what they're saying about Jamarcus McFarland? They're mentioning some pretty big names who he sort of reminds them of. You know, the Tommy Harrises and those guys that came in and had an immediate impact. Now, he's not doing what Tommy Harris did his first year here, but they see some qualities that say that he could be very special.
Of course, Tommy Harris was starting from the word go in his college career. Passes behind the intended receiver, Jaron Taylor.
92 there is Stacy McGee out of Muskogee. as they're coming off getting ready for a punt. But that guy is another one they're looking at very closely. He came in with Jameel Owens, who is not suited up tonight, the wide receiver. A lot of people thought that Owens was the big recruit. Well, the Sooners knew all along that McGee might be. And if he puts on some weight, they think he has big upside.
Rugby-style punt again, and they almost got to it, the Sooners did. Dominique Franks with the return. It's past a few.
That's what I don't get about that rugby-style punt, because if you had just punted it, you know, if you got the ball and just punted it the way you would normally punt it, wouldn't have been any problem. But he starts running around, almost gets it blocked.
Last time
it's Trice after him again, isn't it?
Or is that Demontre Hurst?
Yeah,
Demontre Hurst this time. A couple of athletic true freshmen, Trice and Hurst.
He waited just long enough to get that kickoff. And Hurst is probably happy that didn't hit him, by the way.
It might have hurt. 36-yard line. And Landry Jones at quarterback.
Play clock 2.
And Jeremy Calhoun gets out near midfield. Or actually, that's Jonathan Miller this time. There's another true freshman right there from Garland, Texas, Naaman Forest High School. Miller.
You know, I like the fact that he had a chance to bounce it out. Felt he wasn't going to go anywhere, so he just went north and south.
Play fake, roll left, throw downfield, incomplete. Nice coverage downfield for Idaho State. George Ortiz with the coverage on Adrian Tennell. Bring up a second down.
Trying to get the ball to some of those receivers who didn't have as many opportunities in the first half, but are going to have to play. And when I say play, they're going to have to make plays that you can rely on.
Jones had a big first half. Not so much here in the second half with some of the backups in there, but some of these backups were starting a week ago. At least one was in Tennell. And nothing there this time for Miller.
Hayburn has gone all the way, I believe, at center. I know Brody Eldridge hasn't, and that was one of their biggest questions coming in. If they could get enough production and keep Hayburn healthy. He's gained 20 pounds since he's been here. They love his work ethic, but if he can stay healthy, has a back issue, then they can leave Brody Eldridge at tight end, which helps them get their best players on the field.
Move Corey Brandon over to left tackle as Trent Williams is out of there. And some good defense from Idaho State right there. Moses Madu with the catch. Dustin Tu with the tackle.
Very good throw. It's not what you're looking for, but at the same time, he checked down, took what he could. Good throw with a wet football and very good catch. That's about all Moses Madu could do with that one.
So as we move under 4 minutes to play here in the third quarter, it's time for Tress Way one more time. Now inside the 10 at the 5-yard line, and Brandon Caleb has it at that point.
Mike Nall ended up being a good punter for Oklahoma. He's gone. Exhausted his eligibility last year. But Tress Way seems to be every bit as effective. And I don't know, he's just a gamer, right? There's something about him I like. I know I used to like watching him in high school, kick him about 40 yards out of the end zone. So perhaps at some point he will do some of that. But as a punter, he has a way about him.
Just a freshman. Has a way about him, does he?
He does.
I caught that. It took me a little time, but I caught it finally, even if it probably wasn't intentional. Clint Nickram, who is the starter at running back. The Bengals don't go very deep at running back. They've got this guy Nickram as well as Ben Laporta.
I wouldn't say depth is a strength of the Bengals.
Well, now you're up against these fresh legs who want to make an impression defensively for Oklahoma, and they are talented players on that Oklahoma defense. Just Not a lot of experience out there right now. We're working on getting that experience right now. 2nd down and 7. Jamel Fleming with the immediate hit. Ryan Reynolds was back in the game on that play.
Fleming giving a little space, but not much.
And another 1st down for Idaho State. They move the chains out past the 15-yard line.
Javon Harris out there, another one of the true freshmen at strong safety, replacing Proctor, number 30. They're high on a lot of these young kids in the back end, and they're paper thin, so these guys may end up having to play a little bit.
Going deep downfield. Good coverage down the near sideline.
Very good coverage.
Demontre Hurst.
And those are the kinds of things that you only get when you come out. You want to see what a guy can do in games. And now this play doesn't mean much, and he throws it out of bounds. But at the same time, you've got to defend the guy. And this is excellent coverage. And I don't know of a player besides perhaps Wirt that they're higher on as one of the incoming guys. I mean, this is someone that they really like.
5'9", 165 pounds.
Yeah,
Demontre Hurst.
Well, and Trice is about, I mean, he's shorter than that, but they think the world of him, too.
Pass goes incomplete. Yeah, Trice, 5'8", weighs a little more. 178 is what they list him at. He's number 13. This guy, Demontre Hurst, number 19.
I think you look at this Oklahoma defense, the mainstays, and you say, where are they vulnerable? I don't see a whole lot of spots. I think that Ryan Reynolds at middle linebacker, his speed going sideline to sideline is an issue. When you get him playing kind of in that box, he is an extraordinarily gifted player. That's probably one area, though, that teams will try to exploit the Sooners.
On 3rd down, Austin Box with the stop at the 19-yard line. The other thing that the coaches consider is where are they vulnerable in case of an injury. And you've already mentioned the Balogun situation with the NCAA and whether he would become eligible or not. But they got to see guys inside in case Reynolds did go down with an injury like he did in the 6th game of the year last year.
Well, there's Bob Stoops. Has to be pretty pleased with what he's seen, but I think Bob would go with Austin Box, bringing him back over, number 12. That's not the exact answer maybe that they would want. They probably want Ronell Lewis to come along and be able to jump into that mix, but they really want Mike Balogun.
Running room for Dominique Franks.
Flag.
It's fun to watch Franks run down the sideline, but as Dean mentioned, there is a flag back at the 40-yard line. Brandon Crow, number 48. With the illegal block in the back.
You know, people always say, man, if they hadn't had that penalty, it would have been this or that. Well, many times the
play might not have happened.
Yeah, right. Brandon Crow's a gentleman who getting a little earful from Coach Stoops, but he played middle linebacker last year when Ryan Reynolds went down against Texas. He's now a fullback.
There you see it right there.
Well, that's a pretty lame call. But it's contact. Dom Franks won't be buying him a soda this evening.
Well, the Sooners will take over at the 30-yard line. And Jones in there under center at quarterback. Slipping through for about 3 yards is Calhoun back in at running back. 2nd down and 7. flat tire.
James Hanna and Trent Brattery, the tight ends now. Brody Eldridge taking a seat. Been down for a while, actually.
We approach the end of the third quarter. Flip it out to Calhoun.
Calhoun wisely stays in bounds.
I think he still had the flat tire on the shoe.
I know.
He was running. And I think you heard on the sideline, and I think I heard one of the coaches say Jonathan, meaning Jonathan Miller, get in the game, because Calhoun had absolutely no get up and go because he was playing on a shoe that was not fitting properly. I'm pretty sure that's what happened there.
The staff telling Landry Jones just to rest it and let it go to the fourth.
I think that was Cale Gundy yelling for Jonathan, the running back, to get in the game. Not much going wrong for the Sooners in this one as we go to the fourth quarter. It's 48-0. We've seen a variety of players, young and old, making plays tonight for the Oklahoma Sooners as they lead Idaho State 48-0, headed to the fourth quarter and facing a 3rd and 2 situation at their own 38-yard line. Landry Jones has gone all the way at quarterback for Oklahoma, and the pass goes incomplete, intended for Moses Madu. What's your assessment there, Dean? Rolling right?
Well, that's the play you want to call. You want to put Landry Jones in that situation. Not an easy throw. You want to see if a guy can convert it. Not the easiest throw, not the best pass, and not the best catch. So other than that, it was pretty clearly defined.
But it's a good opportunity, really, for Kevin Wilson in a 48-0 game to run plays to kind of see what in a game situation Landry Jones is comfortable with.
Well, and you're not threatening to go score. I mean, Oklahoma could have won this game 100-0 and might yet if decisions like that continue to be made.
Idaho State's been in a hole throughout the game, and they dug themselves a little deeper in the hole right there as Jaron Taylor with all sorts of problems there on the punt return. Problem sizing that one up, and then you get a look at the punt coverage guys. And pretty much the regular punt coverage guys out there. You don't typically see substitutions.
That's just a horrible decision, though. I mean, you got wind up there, you've got a wet ball floating around, and you're at about your 10-yard line anyway.
And instead they're at their 2-yard line here. Deeper handoff than we saw earlier in the game, and Clint Nickram trying to get out of the end zone, but unable to get out of the end zone. And the backups for Oklahoma's defense can celebrate putting 2 points on the board.
The backup defense leads Idaho State 2-0. Great penetration.
Shows you how wise the play call was early in the game when they were trying to get out of their own end zone, and they gave it to Clint Nickram as the fullback for a quick dive play. This time it was a deeper handoff, and the Sooner reserves were up to the challenge.
Yeah, that was 56 we talked about extensively earlier, Ronell Lewis. And if you got a good look at him there, you can tell he's got the body. Great speed, and he's one of those guys that's real explosive too. And those are the kinds of players Oklahoma has had in the middle in the past. The Lance Mitchells, the Torrance Marshalls, Rocky Kalmus, people who could explode into you. There are different types of linebackers. I mean, 28 Travis Lewis, for example, is a guy who's more of a rip you to the ground type of player. But Ronell Lewis is going to be one of those stick you in the mouth guys.
And the Sooners are going to need a guy like that in the middle once Ryan Reynolds graduates after this season, Reynolds being a senior. So it'll be this type playing time for a guy like Ronell Lewis is very important on down the road as far as Oklahoma football is concerned, the defense.
Well, you look out and you see a guy like Travis Lewis on these special teams, and you want them to make plays, but you don't want them to put themselves in harm's way.
You got Ryan Broyles deep. That's a good sign that Ryan Broyles is out there after taking a nasty hit earlier, and Dominique Franks is back there too. And just like you say with Broyles, you want to make sure he's okay. Falls down at the 45-yard line. Well, what a night it has been for Ryan Broyles.
You know, we talk about measurables, and what we're talking about are like verticals, your leap, your broad jump, your bench press, those types of things. When you look at what Ryan Broyles can do, he runs a 4.4, so he's the fastest of the wide receivers. He's the strongest at 320 pounds on the bench. He just does a lot of things that are special. I think just having a feel for the game is what makes him separates him from a lot of players.
And Ryan Broyles, just a sophomore out of Norman North High School, from the 48-yard line.
Come on, Bill, you've only made one mistake tonight. Norman High School now.
I'm sorry.
I'm a Tiger.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Your only mistake has to be from my high school.
I'm sorry. You know what? I had Norman North on my mind because of their canceled game last night.
Very good.
And, oh, my apologies to Jay Jemerson.
Ryan was a great athlete, though. He was recruited by a couple of people in basketball, averaged 18 points a game.
Big hole up the middle. Inside the 10. It's the first collegiate touchdown for Jonathan Miller.
Jonathan dreams of this, and he makes the most of it. He's able to bounce it outside, and he was one of the higher recruits, or he was ranked by Rivals.com as one of the better running backs, and number 41 overall in Texas by Rivals.
Let me tell you, in Texas high school football, if you get named to the first team super team in Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, which has been published for now 50 years, what a great man Dave Campbell is, lives down in Waco, then you're doing something special. And Jonathan Miller was a first team super teamer out of Naaman Forest High School.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Definitely was. And there you see why. Almost lost it right there, but he finds the end zone. Sooners lead the Bengals 57-0. We're still early in the fourth quarter of this game. Sam Bradford out 2 to 4 weeks. And what a special year it was last year for Oklahoma football and basketball. How rare is this? A Heisman Trophy winner and a Naismith Player of the Year, Sam Bradford and Blake Griffin from the same school. Well, it's this rare. The only other time that's happened was in 1967 when a fellow by the name of Lou Alcindor for UCLA and a quarterback by the name of Gary Beban won the Heisman Trophy, and the Player of the Year was Lou Alcindor. And for you youngsters out there, he became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I did not know that answer. I knew the question, but I never heard anybody give me the answer.
Right out to the 20-yard line.
Courtney Parrish didn't have a great season by her standards on the OU women's basketball team, but at one point in her career, it looked like she had the potential to be that, which would have made that a pretty special trifecta.
I don't know that UCLA had a...
Yeah, I was trying to think of... Cheryl Miller had not been thought of at that point.
And then, of course, women's basketball wasn't an NCAA-sanctioned sport back in 1967 either. So Idaho State starting from its own 20-yard line here. Big hit at the 24-yard line. Ronell Lewis in on the stop on Laporta, the running back.
If nothing else, coaches want to see collisions. You know, you can't play this game unless you're willing to play all out, give up your body. They can teach you where to be if you're not a knucklehead, and you got to be fierce once you get there.
Kyle Blum has gone all the way at quarterback for Idaho State. Both quarterbacks have gone all the way. Brought down at the 25-yard line. Once again, Lewis in on the stop, and McFarland. Picture of the future of Oklahoma's defense here.
Yeah, I'd say several of these guys are names that people will be hearing for years. King, 90, I mentioned earlier. He hadn't gotten as much pub as some of the other players and even defensive ends. R.J. Washington gets a lot of pub and deserves it, but David King is Chris Wilson, the coach, defensive ends, thinks he's special.
Guy that will be able to pressure the passer at good speed. Out to near the first down marker, the completion for Idaho State. Kyle Krosh on the receiving end. And Jamel Fleming defending.
King has the range you want. He's 6'5", and he plays longer than that. That's about the only thing Austin English doesn't have. Austin's 6'3" and does everything in the world. He is not long by NFL standards, but I'll sure take him.
You know, which makes you wonder when you look at NFL scouts, they want that guy who's a 6'5", you know, a 3-4 defense, 6'4", 6'5" guy to play out on the edge. Oh, and there are whistles, and it was Vanderwielen with his knee hitting the ground, and so it works like a turnover for Idaho State. The ball will go over to Oklahoma.
Frankly, neither coach wants to see this, because Bob Stoops wants to see plays run but not points scored, if that makes sense.
So Oklahoma will take over at the Idaho State 15-yard line in a moment. What a night it has been here in Norman, Oklahoma. Still a lot of football to be played. We're still early in the fourth quarter, and the Sooners with Landry Jones at quarterback, and more with each possession. We're getting our question on the backup quarterback answered, because we have not seen Drew Allen tonight. It looks like they want to keep that red shirt on Drew Allen as long as they can. And Landry Jones back out there.
Well, which tells me that they expect Sam Bradford to return soon. And whoever's quarterbacking next week's probably going to have to go quite a ways. I think Tulsa's pretty good.
Jeremy Calhoun breaking some tackles and getting to the 10-yard line. Jones is 18 out of 32 for 286. Had the one pick here in the third quarter and 3 touchdown passes to Ryan Broyles in the first half of this game. With that I formation, and Brandon Crow in there at fullback.
Motion outside. I mean, those are plays that just absolutely kill you.
Tell us about it.
Well, Trent Rattery moved. There were 2 tights on that, just conventional I formation, as you mentioned, and you know, it's not crowd noise. It's just you cannot do that. It got them beat in the first game of the year. And who knows what a loss will end up being if this team rallies and plays to its potential. I mean, what does the one loss do to you? And why'd you lose? It was the penalties.
Calhoun runs over a man at the 5, another lost helmet, and at the 2.5-yard line is where Oklahoma will have it. Were you down in Arlington last week in the press box early in the game? So you weren't outside to hear the crowd. I was wondering if the crowd noise had anything to do with the false starts on the first possession of the game.
Well, some of them were silent counts.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes the opponents will it's a penalty if the defense barks out signals, but I never heard anyone complain about that.
Yep. Virtually untouched into the end zone. Jeremy Calhoun, like Jonathan Miller before him, has his first college touchdown.
Well, I think Idaho State needs to work on its offense, but they also need to work on chin straps, because I've seen 4 helmets rolling around tonight. Calhoun easily gallops in. Lepak, number 51, does a nice job.
And Stevens getting a workout with these point afters. And it's now a 64-0 lead for Oklahoma here, as the Sooners well on their way to tying an all-time record for consecutive home victories, 25 in a row for Bob Stoops' team. He is on his way to 61-2 in his time at Oklahoma at home.
Pretty stout, isn't it?
Yes, definitely is.
You know, Bud Wilkinson had the 47 straight. Coach Switzer, you could pick out about, you know, one of 5 or 6 things. Bob Stoops' number of Big 12 championships is remarkable to me. 6 in 9 years in a conference that's really good. That's more than all the other schools combined.
Yeah. 25 straight home wins with this one tonight. Of course, that leads the nation, but yeah, when you look at the competitiveness, and especially the OU Texas series,
right,
and to be able to win 6 out of 9 conference championships, including 3 in a row. And I also think it's a testament to how Stoops and his coaching staff is able to get this team through the years, whether it's this team this year, well, it remains to be seen after the disappointment in the opener, after they stub their toe early in the season, to be able to regroup and then run the table.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the real test this year, is whether they can do that after stubbing their toe in the opener against BYU.
Well, I have a feeling the coaching will be there. I just have the question, are they good enough? You know, they've got several questions that need to be answered. Some were answered or are on the way to being answered tonight.
But you got players who just haven't been tested, especially against stiff competition. They still haven't been tested. I mean, they'll be tested next week. People around the nation discredit Tulsa.
Yeah,
but when you look what the Tulsa program has done, first under Cragthorpe and now under Todd Graham the last few years, they've been making bowl and getting bowl wins the last several years too.
Well, it's a challenging schedule. Coach Switzer used to say, how do you win championships? You recruit and you schedule championships. But this is one that'll be a challenge. Miami is a double challenge. Baylor is no gimme, even though you have them at home. Texas, you know about that one. Kansas is a quality club. You're playing at Nebraska, at Texas Tech, and then Oklahoma State. There just aren't weeks off.
Texas A&M got off to a good start last week against New Mexico. It was a sizable loss that time. Austin Box with the stop. And getting back to Tulsa next week, well, the folks up in Stillwater saw what a non-BCS, a team from a non-BCS conference can do. Come into your home turf and put a loss on you.
Well, it's got to be a devastating loss to the Cowboys. Now, they do have a favorable schedule, and they have really good players. But after beating Georgia, you can't let this Houston game slip away, and they did. So it'll be interesting to see how they rally.
3rd and 17 for Idaho State. Comes the rush, and down goes Blum, and there is a flag. And we saw some of the speed of that edge rusher, David King, the redshirt freshman from Houston there.
I think that tackle should be discredited to Lance Cartwright, number 71, the offensive tackle.
Oh. You say 91? R.J. Washington?
Yeah.
There you see R.J. Washington. So that's how Kyle Blum went down. Good call by the officiating crew.
You know, it's easy to say you just can't do that. You got to don't do that. I've never been in that situation. I have no idea what it's like to have a chance to
grab
pull
someone
down and they're slipping away. Yeah.
So you don't know how difficult it is to not do that. The 38-yard line. There's Austin Box.
You know how it feels to have that done, and that wasn't a flagrant, but well, you get somebody that grabs you by the face mask, you're just hoping you come out of it with a neck. You're really just hoping you come out of it alive. Austin Box, dependable guy. Sometimes plays a little bit stiff, but he's a guy that they bank on to be able to play any of the 3 linebacker positions.
Guy who played a variety of positions at Enid, including quarterback, running back, wide receiver, 3 safety. Some speed on that Oklahoma defense. You got a feel for the Idaho State players who've been out there all night going against this kind of talent.
Well, that's how you get better.
That's right.
You know, the offensive line at Oklahoma felt that they were further along than a lot of people have given them credit for being, because they played against a great defense. Now, it proved the penalties absolutely killed them, and it's yet to be seen how good they are. But the same thing should hold true for a program like this in Idaho State. You're not going to match up with them, but when you play against these types of teams, you learn what it's like to play against the best.
Nickram, the ball carrier, but it was Isaiah Burrell, number 6, who went down as a whole host of players fell on top of him. Hopefully he's okay. He's being attended to. 64-0 in the 4th. Oklahoma leads Idaho State 64-0. We still have 7 minutes and 20 seconds left to play here at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium in Norman. This is something you just hate to see, especially in the latter stages of a game like this. Number 6, Isaiah Burrell here goes down.
Now watch how quickly he knows it's serious. Watch him. Look.
It's sickening to see that reaction from Burrell. And during the break, the training staff of both teams was attending to Burrell here, and they're still hovering over him. And just hope that the 6'2", 183-pound wide receiver, junior 2-year letterman from Corona, California, does not have a serious injury.
You know, I always wondered, it looks like, yeah, perhaps a break, but I always wondered when my mom was always scared every time she went to a football game I played in. The more you watch these games and how violent they are, you understand.
And after you become a parent, you understand that.
Yeah, right,
too.
right.
You know, talking to the Idaho State people, the wide receiver position in particular is one for the Bengals that does not have a lot of depth. Isaiah Burrell had 56 receptions last year, one of the 2 starting wide receivers for the Bengals, along with Jaron Taylor. Sooners playing Idaho State here. Last night, Colorado lost at Toledo. Today, Iowa State lost against its cross-state rival Iowa. Nebraska a winner over Arkansas State. Meanwhile, other games today up in Stillwater. Oklahoma State falls to Houston 45-35. Texas pulled away late to win by 31 over Wyoming. In the 4th quarter, Kansas State is trailing the Ragin' Cajuns of Louisiana Lafayette. Missouri now has gone ahead of Bowling Green in the 4th by a touchdown. Tech now routing Rice 55-10. They play Texas next week. That ought to be a good one in Austin. And now Kansas has a 27-0 lead over UTEP in the 4th quarter.
Lafayette down there, and I call it Lafayette now. I live there, so if you've lived down there, you got to call it that. So, but anyway, down in Louisiana, that's a pretty good ball club, and you know, Bill Snyder, bless his heart, he was handed nothing. But with a close game like that, you know, don't be surprised if they find a way to. I think there were 2 down, find a way to kick a field goal and win that thing. The guy can coach a little bit.
Yep, he can, and he just got a contract extension announced yesterday by the folks at Kansas State. You see Landry Jones on the sideline. And now you see Burrell as he's being carted off, and hopefully he'll be okay. Landry Jones had a highly productive first half, and in fact his favorite target, Ryan Broyles, had 3 touchdown receptions.
That's not an easy ball to throw there. Great ball fake, going left, throws it on the money, and this one, you know, he called it a little underthrown, but that's just trying to be exact on critiquing. That was a good throw. Ball was still wet. You can't really tell it from these pictures, but it's not an easy ball to throw, and that one was a phenomenal throw and catch.
In the third quarter is when the rain came down the hardest in this game, and threw a pick in the third quarter, and with the backups in there, I'm thinking John Nemo may be going into the game.
He's cranking up. Either he's going to have a big night after the game or he's going to go in. And I know John a little bit. I'd say that the chances are pretty good for both.
And that will really answer the question on Drew Allen, the true freshman from San Antonio Alamo Heights High School. He was listed as the third-team quarterback behind Bradford and Jones. Back to action here as Idaho State has the football, and
you know that
third down now.
Bill, that quarterback battle next year, a lot of people just think that Sam Bradford will go to the pros, but they assume that Landry Jones is just going to be handed the job, or that he will have already earned the job. That's not the case. Drew Allen, kid they're talking about redshirting here, there he is behind Sam, is not going to play this year, but they really like him a lot, and they really like also Blake Bell, who's committed out of Wichita, Kansas, a 6'6" kid who can't come in the semester early. That's what's really going to hurt him. But they've got some players there, and if Landry Jones is the guy, they look in good shape, but it is not a slam dunk.
Fair catch called for by Dominique Franks at the 30-yard line. That's where the Sooners will take over on offense. Yeah, so Blake Bell will not be, he's not one of those early enrollees in January.
Nope, and that's what really hurts.
There's very little chance then that he could really, truly compete.
Early,
right. For a starting quarterback job.
John Nemo will get his first snap out of Ponca City High School.
6'2", 207 junior.
He can hit a golf ball a long way, and he's Sam Bradford's roommate.
See what he's learned from Sam. Can he compete with Sam Bradford on the golf course? That's what I want to know. Jonathan Miller gets past the 35 to the 36.
Sam Bradford is a legitimate somewhere between scratch and 2 handicap.
Not a lot of people can compete with him on the golf course then.
No, he's legit. Some of the some pro hockey people, a guy who played in the Stanley Cup, had coached him as a junior and said he could play pro hockey if he continued to develop. Golf, you hear that. He was an outstanding high school basketball player, baseball player. And the people I talked to that knew him, and I played ball with his dad, a very humble guy. But Sam was the most natural athlete these people have ever seen.
First down, Jonathan Miller.
Watch that offensive line come around. Hayburn continuing to play well.
Or was that Lepak?
No, that was Lepak.
Yeah. Lepak at center now, number 51.
It was still a good play. Just had the wrong guy.
Well, it's at 51-61. They look very similar. You do have, I believe, Jarvis Jones is in there at right tackle. And not much that time.
There's not a lot of depth up front there. Boris Jeffries in the lineup, number 72.
He's playing left guard. You got Brandon out there, and he, of course, started at right tackle last week. And in the second half of this game, he's moved over to the left side, Trent Williams' position.
Number 70's number was called out quite a bit last week. I know that had to be painful for him. false start, a holding or two. Corey Brandon, though, goes 6'7", 310. He's a junior who looked like a stud.
Yeah, he looks
in the
part.
spring, and then in early ball here in the fall, and then just that first game just came undone. But I know you don't give up on a kid like that.
He's got too much athletic ability. Well, I know Oklahoma fans are sitting there going, okay, could have just played Idaho State the first week, get a preseason game under their belts, and then play BYU. And maybe some of that false start stuff would have been out of the way. But
well, you know, a lot of people are critical of starting with a game like that. But, you know, the point is you're a 3-touchdown favorite. If you beat a number 20 ranked team, a team that's going to win a ton of games during the year, you're going to get a lot of credit.
John Nemo, welcome to college football right there. A big hit from the blind side.
You got to feel it from the backside. You also have to get a little bit of blocking over there, as that's a bust on double teaming up front and then missed the backside.
Jared Nash, junior college transfer from Glendale, Arizona, with the big hit on Nemo.
Bill, where I was going with that scheduling, though, it's easy to second guess now, why do you schedule that game? But you're supposed to win that game, and it's against a top 20 team that will end up probably in the top 20. So as Joe Castiglione has proven throughout the years, last year maybe the most notable time, if you had that strength of component schedule, or that strength of schedule component working in your favor, you're going to win a lot of close battles to get to a BCS championship game.
Now the Sooner defense comes up with the sack. Ronell Lewis, man we've talked about a lot here in the second half, in there.
You know, this second half goes about as well as it could. The first thing you think is that you look at the score at 64, because I guarantee you Bob Stoops didn't want to get this thing to 80. It wasn't as clean as it could have been. But overall, they got a lot of people in, and a lot of these young kids played well. One of them is 55, Jaden Bird.
The true freshman. They'll back up Idaho State here.
Bird is a kid that he's about 230. He's a freshman. He can get a lot bigger, but he's got tremendous instincts. He's one of those guys that just finds the ball, or he does that in practice, and he did it early in camp. He's one of the 5 or 6 kids. They like a bunch of those new kids, but they really think he can be good.
Well, there's a number of true freshmen getting an opportunity to play tonight. Another linebacker in there. You see Jaden Bird there. We've talked about Ronell Lewis, 56, and 31 redshirt freshman Daniel Franklin in the game. There you see the linebacking trio in there. And it's always been Bob Stoops' policy in his decade plus that he's been the Oklahoma coach to give opportunities to true freshmen. He tells them in recruiting, you're going to have an opportunity to play your freshman year. Now, it was an issue this year where they just didn't have a whole lot of depth on their roster, which is providing an opportunity for a lot of these guys to play early on.
Well, they do want to play, and it's hard to sign them up if you tell them they can't. You know, there's other places that most of these kids that and Oklahoma signs, they're going to be recruited by Texas or some of these other places, and if one of these other good places gives you an opportunity to play, or tells you they'll give you an opportunity to play, it's hard to say no.
I think it's a testament too to the quality of the recruits, that they're able to come in here and play immediately. And you know, you've got guys in particular at that linebacker position like Reynolds, who's going to be done after this year, and you need these guys to be ready to play next year, hopefully not before that in a starting capacity. So the clock winds down. We're down to 7 seconds left in this one.
It was 50-50 whether the clock keeper was going to let that one continue to roll. kudos to that trio, or I guess that duo there for a second, for hanging out, huh? Or hanging in there, rather.
They're having fun, and the rain kind of let up here in the fourth quarter of this game. It was a 41-0 lead for the Sooners at the half. They've tacked on another 23 points here in the second half. And these stands were basically full right up until halftime. There were some empty seats in the upper reaches of the stadium, but they saw this Sooner team get on track for the 2009 season after a disappointing start a week ago, and this one is in the books.
You know, Idaho State has a total rushing, the number of total rushing yards they have through 2 games is minus 27.
Minus 5 a week ago, minus 22 tonight against Bob Stoops' defense. Total yards 44 for Idaho State after getting 37 a week ago against Arizona State. And the Sooners with up near 600 yards of offense in this one. 564 yards of offense, more than 300 in the first half, as Landry Jones is 1-0 as a starting quarterback in his Oklahoma football career.
Well, that's the most important thing. I think one of the other most important things was that number 85 became a star. He's been a really good player in his year plus as a freshman. I mean, he reached his potential, but they needed someone to really step up, and Ryan Broyles did.
And let's go down to the sideline. Alyssa Walker-Campbell.
Congratulations, Coach. Again, complete offensive domination. You got to be pleased with his performance.
Well, as I said at halftime, I understand we're going to have tougher foes as we move on down the road, but I just appreciate the clean play of our players, of not having foolish penalties, executing properly, taking care of the football, especially in these conditions. So it's good to see us at least attempting to do what we're trying to do.
Talk about the importance of this win as you guys prepare for Tulsa. Todd Graham's team, they're going to be coming here to Owen Field.
And they've done a great job. We understand it's a big challenge, and our whole mindset is continuing to improve. And we made some progress from a week ago, at least in our fundamentals, and hopefully we can this week.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and get Ryan Broyles in here. Congratulations, outstanding performance. What was your mindset coming into this game? Because obviously that loss against BYU was very disappointing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Offensively, we want to come in there and be as clean as we can. We had a lot of penalties last week, so we just wanted to clean that up this week.
One of the things that was so impressive is just Landry Jones. Here he is, a redshirt freshman. You guys look like veterans out there. You're only a sophomore. You guys were like a 1-2 punch out there offensively.
Yeah, Landry, he's a great competitor, man. So we all have faith in him. He has faith in himself. So whatever comes our way, we're ready for it.
Well, listen, you're a Norman, Oklahoma guy. Went to Norman High School. What's it like being literally here at home and having all your family and friends supporting you?
I couldn't ask for anything better than that, man. Growing up here and seeing this from day one is a great feeling.
Congratulations. Enjoy the win.
Thank you.
Bill, back to you.
All right, thanks, Alyssa. What a night for Ryan Broyles. A career night as far as receiving yards are concerned. And he got started early on the very first play from scrimmage for Oklahoma. And I'd say, Dean Blevins, that Landry Jones has a favorite target. That would be that man.
Yes, he does. The next time out, they'll try to find some others. But for tonight, they found a threat, a go-to guy, and someone that can make plays after he catches it.
That was touchdown number 2, and that one was splendid.
Just a great feel for the game right there. I mean, just a wonderful feel. I thought there was a lot of moxie on the part of Landry Jones as well tonight.
All right, we'll talk more about this Oklahoma victory over Idaho State in a moment. 64-0. The Sooners have 25 straight wins at home. Turned into a great night here in Norman, Oklahoma. Perhaps not weather-wise, but you look at that scoreboard, a 64-0 win over the Idaho State Bengals for the Oklahoma Sooners, and it does tie a school record, 25 straight home wins. Bob Stoops is now 61-2 here in Norman in his time as the Sooners head coach. Bill Jones back with you along with Dean Blevins. And Dean, you just mentioned something about Landry Jones before we went to break, the moxie that he showed tonight. He did show a little
show that tonight.
Well, and he showed it a little bit the first game, but coming back tonight with some pressure on you, not that you're playing a good team, but you've got to perform, you've got to get ready to play the next game and show your teammates that you can get it done. And I just thought he had some pressure on him at times, and I thought he hung in there. I did think he had. I thought he had very good moxie about him. Also has a stronger arm than I thought.
You know, and defensively, of course, it was expected coming into this game that the Oklahoma defense would shut down this Idaho State team. That's no surprise at all. But you see Gerald McCoy, he's going to be a dominating force no matter who he plays against this season. Who are some other defensive guys that stood out for you tonight?
You know, I thought Austin English was terrific, and they just had pressure. They were in the backfield all night long. They overpowered this ball club as they should have. But I thought the linebackers were very, very active, particularly 28. Lewis is someone I think is very, very special. So I think that front seven was the group that excelled.
Statistically, the Sooners, of course, get back on track this week. In fact, the first downs, 27-6. Rushing yards up near 300. Balanced offense there, passing up near 300 as well. And Idaho State only able to manage, well, -22 in the rushing department. Most of the passing yards came in the second half. In fact, they only had one first down in the first half, but nearly 600 yards of offense for the Sooners and well over 300 in the first half.
Well, 1 of 14 holding Idaho State to that in third down conversions is very good. 4 for 13 is not what you want. And in the first game, I believe Oklahoma was 2 of 11, something like that. So that is something to point to.
All right, and the Sooners are happy to get a victory, but obviously the competition stiffens severely on down the road. The Tulsa Golden Hurricane be here next week, and then you got to play the Hurricanes in 2 weeks after that.
Well, Tulsa's a better ball club. You mentioned people around the country don't look at Tulsa that way. People around here do. You know, you watch these shows and they say, well, Bradford can be out here to here. They won't need him to Miami. Tulsa's going to score points on everyone. Now, how many they score against Oklahoma, I don't know. They're better defensively, and they have some great special teams performers.
All right, we've got more post-game coverage for you from here in Norman as we continue here after a 64-0 Sooner victory.